5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
All right, guys. Episode 16
16
is going down. We have a new guest tonight. We have Tony Shukes from TS Mobile.
How's it going, guys?
What's going on, man? Thanks for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Brett pulled up the bat signal. You responded, and here you are.
I'm here.
That's it.
I'm here with bells on, ready to rock.
Well, thanks for coming down. I really appreciate it. You brought some new wine tonight.
I did.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
So this is one of my favorites. I don't usually get it because it's a little more than most wines I buy. But
Ooh, that's good.
it's a Cooper and Thief. It's a Cabernet, but it's aged in rye whiskey barrels for 6 months. So it has like a nice kind of, whiskey tone to it. It's a little potent. But,
Yeah.
One of my favorites, but not the cheapest bottle. So, if I bought that as much as I drink wine, I'd go bankrupt. So,
Well, I'm used to being a whiskey guy. So when you first started coming out and bringing the wine, I'm like, okay, we'll do this.
yeah, no, I'm a big fan.
And what do you got today?
I have grape vodka and Diet Coke. Got to watch my girl's
That's
figure.
a mix, man.
Grape Coke, huh?
I change it up every once in a while,
You got to do it every now and then.
Usually my old go-to is Tito's and Sprite, but
Ooh. Tito's.
Gotta watch out. Gotta watch out for
that's
those.
delicious.
My body says nay on that one. So you are the owner of TS Mobile. Talk to me about TS Mobile.
Well, we got to basically, in layman's terms, like that old show, Pimp My Ride. We do everything from basic speaker, audio installs to full custom systems with LED lighting, fiberglass and paint. Remote car starters is huge, especially now in this cold weather, and vehicle wraps and lettering, change the color of your car for probably half the price and half the time of a paint job.
Oh, no kidding.
You don't have to go to the registry and change it. You can pull it off when it's done. It protects your paint.
Nice.
Yeah.
How much does that usually cost somebody, or what's the ballpark somebody could be looking at?
Start out, give or take, around $2,000.
Yeah.
And it's probably 3 to 5 days is our turnaround.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, our guy is phenomenal that does it. He's certified, in all the major companies, 3M, Avery Dennison. So I can give you the full warranty, the full 7 to 10 year warranty on it coverage. That's huge, because if people aren't warranted and they wrap your vehicle, something happens in a couple of years and it's a warranty issue. Like 3M, for instance, will say, "Yeah, what shop did you get it installed at? Yeah, we're not going to cover that."
Oh, wow.
Having a certified installer knows that it was installed properly, and they'll cover that. That's huge. We're one of the only 2 people in this area that have certified installers.
Oh, no kidding.
And he is just
He
phenomenal at what he
crazy stuff.
Oh,
Does it? Yeah, I love that kind of stuff,
he
man.
has the one client, the one with the Veloster, right?
yes.
It has it's done up like a Velociraptor. And
Oh, is it
has
really?
like dragons, like scales. So it has texture in the wrap, so it looks like a lizard. It's nuts, and that's
Oh,
only
yeah.
one example. It's,
Yeah.
it's
And if
crazy.
everybody comes up to it at the car shows all the time, he's telling me, they feel it, because it feels like the way we did it. It's textured,
Yep.
and it's a color changing wrap. So it's probably got 9 or 10 different colors as you walk around it. It looks amber, and then you turn around the other way and it looks blue and purple and green. It's pretty wild.
And it's
Yeah.
lizard skin at the same time. It's nuts.
Yeah.
That is awesome. What kind of warranty? How long would if I got a car wrapped? How long would I think that would last for?
They're typically with that stuff, Avery Dennison or a 3M. They're usually, depending on the colors. Obviously, most of their colors are 7 to 10 years.
Is it that long?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's insane. And we've had some, like my shop Jeep, I've had wrapped for almost 3. Mustang, 2. And my Jeep goes through the winters, and I wash that thing maybe 3 times a year.
Oh, wow.
And we just did satin black and put my logo on it in a reflective, which is like a stop sign or a cop car. So when the cars hit it at night, I just recently moved in with my girlfriend. So when everybody's like, "I see your truck all the time over in Ludlow," because they come up over the hill in the dark, and my whole logo, it's like 9 feet across the side.
Oh,
of
no
my
kidding.
Jeep, and it lights up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, before we go any further, we have to explain. We got Vanessa over there
Yes, we do.
in the without the camera. The camera's so I just ordered a new camera.
Yeah.
So by Saturday I should
Need a
have
name
it.
for
and
that
then-
chair over there.
We
In
do.
the hot seat.
We do. We just say the chair without the camera. So welcome, Vanessa. Thank you very much.
I
And,
needed somebody to refill me.
I was just
you
gonna say
know?
Vanessa is in charge of filling drinks.
So she'll peek in on camera here.
For Tony. It'll be a quick in and out. You just see some random arm come out of nowhere and fill. So that's insane. Like I love cars. And so back in high school, I got into automotive. I was working for Brad Service Center on Front Street in Chicopee since I was about 14 and really fell in love with muscle cars and that whole thing. One of my favorite things to watch afterwards, I'm a 14-year-old kid and all the mechanics are leaving just burning rubber every night. That was their thing. And I used to that was my pinnacle. Like, okay, it's getting close to quitting time. I'm going to start seeing these guys burn out, and then I got my own muscle car and then, it went from there. So as I got older though, I definitely came out of that loop a little bit and I got into more of the luxury part of it. It's kind of where I'm at now, but my favorite car ever is a 69 Mustang Mach 1. Hands down my favorite. And
I'm a Mustang guy.
I found one today for $29,900, orange with the black stripes.
Oh.
And I looked at my wife and she's like, "Don't do it." And I'm like, because I started picking up the phone, like I want to get a hold of this guy. And maybe next year, I
You
promised
can
her.
store it in my garage so she don't know. I won't say anything.
Don't start with that, man. I'll have so much stuff at your garage by the time we're done.
We just got to wait for YouTube to do its thing. Let's get this podcast making you some money. Buy yourself a
Man,
Mustang.
hopefully one day be the next Joe Rogan. Who knows, man? But yeah, so I definitely miss that part of it. I miss going up to Lebanon to the drag races. Leon from high school, Leon Schweinard, he's always posting pictures of him going down the quarter mile, and I miss those days. Every once in a while you see a muscle car go by and you'll smell that the old gas
Just the
and
fuel, yeah.
man,
Straight
yeah.
gas. Yeah.
So you got some, as we were talking earlier, you've had some really cool kind of cars that we were just talking about. And what was the one from Japan that you said again?
It is a 1986 Subaru Sambar. So it's a van, but we have a special edition one. It's got like the high rise roof with windows along the roof, full metal sliding. It's probably, 2.5 feet by 3 feet sliding roof. The whole roof opens up. Sliding doors in the back. It's but it's right hand drive. You see a lot of the trucks around, and there's not many vans. And a friend of mine who helps run Carbon Kings, which they do vehicle accessories also, but more of the lowering kits, lift kits, tires, wheels. We are partnered up with them like quite a bit. Those guys are awesome, and we wrapped one of their vans. And we call it the Gatorade van because we wrapped it with these wild colors. It's almost like an aluminum, chrome, orange, and green, and there's like a white reflective lightning bolt in it. So it looks like a Gatorade bottle. So
Right,
we always
yeah.
tease him about that, but it came out sick. So I was like, where did you get that? So we started talking about a year and a half ago, and I was like, man, I want to get one. So they gave me the website, and I looked for a while and ended up just, pulling the trigger and getting it. And it's, yeah.
That's
Theirs
cool.
is so cool, and we've been talking about the ideas that they're going to do and we're going to do this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
It's pretty cool. It's really weird that it's so small, but
right hand drive.
yeah, it's like a miniature version of like one of those Volkswagen camper buses.
Oh, wow.
Not the old school one, but like the boxier one.
Do you have any pictures at all?
I do.
Well, you don't have to get it now, but what I want to do after we're done here is I want to put it into the podcast, so we'll splice it in.
Yeah.
And then, so all these cool things that we're talking about, people will be able to see that and get a visual of it. I think that would be pretty neat.
yeah,
It's
you could do
just
the-
it's wild.
Yeah.
I had I redid like the dash. It was all faded pink because the windows were such like clear like glass. Like we called it the fishbowl because there was no tint to it at all. They were all faded pink. So we pulled the whole dash apart, and as we were redoing the dash, I found like the OEM color. So we dyed the dash. Dropped all the wires for added a stereo system, power locks, and a thing. I had another company we partner up with, BG Window Tint. We had them tint the windows to it,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
and even the front windshield, not dark, but enough so it looks like illegal, and it looks so much cooler. When my guy Sean wraps it, he's got some crazy ideas in mind, but it's so funny because people always stop and look and they're like thumbs up and they're like, what the fuck is that? Like, because they're like, because you're on the right side and it's so small, like so
Can't
small.
wait to see it.
And you never see one.
So
Like,
what's it called again?
1986 Subaru Sambar. We wrapped a side by side last week, a little UTV vehicle, and literally it was the same size side by side. It was so funny. That thing was a lot faster. It's only a 2-cylinder, and it is
Oh, look
slow.
at this thing. It's insane. That's crazy. Look at this thing. It's like so small. I don't know if you can see that real quick. But
Yeah,
that's it right there.
it's
Yeah.
very similar. It's
Yeah.
a little. It's older style.
Okay.
Because it's
Okay.
got to be. They got to be. 20,
Oh, this is a 91 right here.
Yeah.
So I did punch in 86.
Yeah, they got to be
But that's what,
25 years or older to bring him into the States from Japan.
I was just gonna say. So talk about that process, man, because
yeah.
I know a few friends that got stuff from overseas, and they said it's a logistical nightmare. So what did you have to do?
It was so I once I found it, I went back and forth with them. I purchased it in July, and I didn't get it till September. It's like a 2.5-3 month process before it gets into the States. Then we took the train to Newark, New Jersey, because I was gonna have it towed, or shipped here. But I'm like, I could take the train with a dealer plate and drive that thing back.
Right.
So once I got there, it was definitely like you get in and you can only go this far, and they need to see this and that, and the security guards are like, whew, like you can't go past this point and everything. Once they gave it to us and we drove it out, now I'm in this little van and it's all big rig trucks with these containers on them. So I'm just getting used to, I can drive standard, but it's a standard, but it's right hand drive.
Right.
So we're trying to go down these roads and follow the GPS, and it's taking us here and there, and all these trucks, every time they go by it, this thing's like, oh my God, like almost missed the turn. We locked the brakes up on it the first time, zipped it around. It goes. It's got AC, push button 4-wheel drive.
Wow.
Literally hit the button, locks all wheels. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. But it's definitely different. It was like a 2.5 month process to get it, and then probably 4-hour drive, 4.5-hour drive took us like 5.5 hours because it does not. I mean, it's like
I was just gonna say, how's that feel?
Down Route 2 in Connecticut, leaning forward, pushing on the thing as we're going. We may have hit, I think it was like 71 miles an hour.
Well, it's not bad considering
That's
what it was.
Normally, like we were coming here on the pike, and I'm like, zzzz. I'm lucky if we hit 57.
Great on gas, though, I bet.
Oh yeah, like 37 miles to the gallon.
Was it really?
Oh, it's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how'd you get turned on to this car?
When they had theirs from Carbon Kings, one of the guys had it. I'm like, man, this thing is so freaking cool. I would love to have one. Well, go back a couple years. I decided to take one car against the telephone pole, and then so we got rid of that car and got another shop car. We always had a little zip around car. Then I bought another one, and one of my other guys took that home one night and decided to park it in between 3 trees.
Oh,
So this is all a year. And then a year later, another one. So we're like, all right, no more Scions. So we were looking at getting something. I wanted, it is a 4-seater. I can flip the seats up and I have the whole back. So I mean, and it's wide open. Like because it's kind of tall.
yeah.
And so, I mean, we can fit stuff in there when we're going to do jobs, or I use the Jeep with the trailer. But I saw that. We went through looking at a bunch of them. They had some cool little 1-seaters and some stuff. But I'm like, you know what? I need something that's practical. I can put the kids in the back when I take it home, and at the same point, flip it down and use it. And this just fit our needs perfectly. And it's just so freaking cool looking. Like it's like
There's a lot of advertising space on the side, too,
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
car shows and stuff like that, once it gets wrapped, it'll...
Yeah. Well, I love people who can think outside the box, right? Like you see the same old all the time, and they show it, and you're like, yeah, that's cool, but when you see something like this, I mean, in the audience will be able to see this after we're done. This is cool. Like, this is cool. So,
it's pretty
You
wild.
should send them the pictures of the Carbon Kings one, like as a reference.
Yeah,
'Cause
I'll
that-
send you some
that
pictures
thing
of
came out
mine
cool.
and some pictures of theirs, so you can see what theirs is a Honda Active, mine's Subaru.
Oh, it is different.
But everybody's got a lot of them. People are like, oh, I saw this guy. It's all pickup trucks,
Right.
So it's a 2-seater. The vans, I think there's maybe one other person in the area that we've seen that has them besides the two of us.
wow.
So it's something different, and it draws attention now. So once we wrap it, and we're going to do some crazy colors with it when we wrap it and have the logo prominent on it. So
That's
it should
really
be pretty
cool.
cool.
And so, how did you So one of the things I'm thinking about, like I'm gonna get a camper soon, and I'm thinking I'm gonna wrap this camper because it's not an old camper, but how cool would it be to pull into a campground and have this thing wrapped with something crazy, right? Everybody's gonna be like,
Yeah.
"Where'd you get that?"
I've thought about
And then
it
you know what I
before.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done golf carts. A friend of
that's
ours, Cito, wanted to wrap his. He's a huge Patriots fan,
Yep.
and his wife's a huge 49ers fan. So like 2 years ago, they had a camper at a campsite,
Yep.
and he wanted to do half 49ers and half Patriots. Didn't end up doing it, but he's still got the golf cart he wants to do, and he's looking at buying a side by side. But it just like we've done campers, we more put. They want like a decal. They don't want to do. We haven't done full wraps on the campers yet. My guy has. He's just been doing it like 10 years. So he's done the Big Y. He's done a ton of stuff. We did another cool one we had done was Red Bull
Right.
Mustang.
Yep.
It's like I want to say it's a 16 Mustang. Thing is nasty. He's got bags on it, so it's dropped, and he's got a picture of a Red Bull race car that he wanted. So we wrapped it. It was blue, a different color blue with the yellow in the front and the Red Bull logo. Obviously, we had to adjust it a little bit. He put his sponsors, because he gets sponsored by a car show, and put ours where the Red Bull logo goes. And we changed the bull, so it's not technically that.
Right.
He did it. He's got a 5-year-old little brother that has Down syndrome.
Oh wow.
And the color is blue and yellow of the ribbon. And one of the logos is, a kid's hands in the shape of a heart. So we were talking, and I'm like, why don't you get his handprints? And we will make
sweet.
those and plot those out, and that's what we'll put on a car.
Yeah.
Well, it's going on, we did it, got to be at least 3-4 months, and he's still trying to get him. From what I heard, I think he said they finally got, because they tried clay, because he's a little kid, like my 5-year-old. He wants to just play and have fun. And,
He wants
into
no
paint.
part of that. Yeah.
So we're trying to we want to get a good set, and it'll personalize the car a little more with his brother's handprints on it, So we're working on that, and the kid himself who owns it, he's such a good kid.
Yeah.
But if you saw the car, I can send you a picture of that just for yourself. It is insane. Looks like a race car.
I would definitely do that.
And there was the smart car done like the Little Tykes one. Those Little Tykes?
Yeah.
Did a smart car.
Yeah,
and he did
That's
like
cool.
It's another smart car. It's Superman smart car, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in a car club, the car club in New England.
Okay.
And there's like over 108 members, over 200 cars, because everybody's got 2-3 cars. I mean, they actually do all of our T-shirt work too from IQ Inc. But they bought it as a joke. They bought a beat up smart car and they had to replace the transmission. And like, why don't we wrap it like the Little Tykes car? Because we do a ton of stuff for kids with the car club.
Just like it.
That's
so
bad. That's
yellow
badass.
and red,
Love
it is, and it's so funny that kid's choice at the car show is hands down.
Yeah. One thing you talked about his brother had Down syndrome. I'm a firm believer that people who have Down syndrome are that's what God would consider an angel. So my last job, when I worked at retail, we had people who had Down syndrome work for us.
Yep.
And I'm telling you what, I could not wait to get to work.
Oh yeah.
They totally made my day and touched me in a way that I can't even begin to describe to you how just innocent and pure they are. And we had one, he was a prankster. He used to love to hide my keys because I give my keys to everybody in the store to unlock, doors and everything. So he would walk up to people and go, "Oh, Jeff said to give me the keys. I'm going to go bring them back." So they would just give him the keys and he would go hide them. Well, there was a few times where we couldn't find him again, right? But he would always know where they were. He was always really good about that. I probably had like 8 or 9 of them that would rotate in and out.
Yep.
So I just want to touch on that. Like if I believe that there's really angels, those are them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
That's like when we were doing that process, my rap guy said, "Tone, I want in on this project, so I'm going to give him a really good deal." He's like, "I just want to do this because it's the right thing to do." And I was like, "You tell them the price and that's it." Like,
now, can you print anything if someone comes in with a design? You can print anything that they want, or is it within reason?
yes, we have a plotter. I don't have a printer on hand. The stuff we can plot looks like it's printed. If not, I can get it printed. That day to walk in and out, no, but within a week I can. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So like technically you could like come in with that and get that on your hood.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's,
Can you
it's nuts.
imagine?
We
Yeah.
did. We were actually, it just happened to be, we were doing Honda Civic. We were doing the hood as Black Panther,
Oh wow.
but we changed it to the. She wanted it gold because her car has the black and gold theme. It just happened to be like just before he ended up passing away, the actor.
Oh wow.
So so she ended up having to put some, asking us to put some extra stuff at the end with it. But her whole hood is Black Panther. We've done, a brokenhearted theme. We just did. We got we have a couple. I don't want to give one away. I was talking to the guy today over at Carmen Kings, and we've done some stuff for his car. So his car is on our Facebook page, but I can't give away what we're doing. We're sponsoring his car next year, and we're doing the hood graphics, and it's crazy. So I can't give that one away, but we are doing a motorcycle. I got the fairings dropped off, and we're doing Carnage, which is the Venom's nemesis from Marvel. That's going to be nasty. She's got it, and she's going to match the colors of the bike, and it's going to be sick.
Yeah. I'm thinking about buying this summer, and I almost bought last summer. You might laugh at me, but it's going to be the Can-Am Riker. I don't want to be on 2 feet at all. I want to just kick back and...
Oh, that was one of those,
three-wheelers.
It's like a Spider, but it's the
Polaris,
the millennial version
yeah.
that they made, But I've been seeing people have wraps put on it, and some of the wraps that they're putting on is insane.
You just did one, didn't you?
Yeah. We did a slingshot.
Yeah, that's the one.
We got another slingshot we're
so
doing. What is the other one? There's the T-Rex.
Yep.
We got one of those. I got a couple of guys with Can-Ams that want to come in, and they just want us to change, one's for his wife. He's like, it's red and black. I want to make it pink and black.
Sure.
So those are simple. And some people want the graphic design with some kind of theme on it.
Right.
So that's...
How many years you been in business?
We've been in business about 5.5 years.
Oh, no kidding.
January was 2015, so...
Yeah.
Myself, I've been in the industry. This is my 26th year in the industry of the vehicle accessories.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you go to school for cars?
No. My dad was a mechanic, and I just always wanted to work around cars.
Yep.
So I started detailing cars when I was younger, and then as my younger brothers came up, they all started detailing cars, and I wanted to get into mechanics. And my dad's like, you don't want to bang your hands up, and look at my hands every day, they're banged up. I want you behind a desk. Well, I ended up taking carpentry in high school, and a lot of good that did, because I'm involved with cars now. My hands aren't too bad, but they get banged up quite a bit when I'm in their wintertime. But I got a brother who does body work, one details. My dad's a mechanic, and I'm the accessories guy, so we kind of all help each other out when we need stuff done.
Yeah. I can remember when I was working on cars. I'd be, middle of winter, you're trying to work underneath them, and the ice and the snow is coming down. It's dropping inside your back.
Oh, yeah.
I can appreciate working on cars, and I did it for a long time. But I finally so my thing was, in he'll attest, once you get into retail, it sucks you in like the mob.
Well, I met Tony at Circuit City.
Oh, you did?
Knows
So
all
you-
I was
about
going to
it.
say,
Yeah.
where do you guys, what retail do you guys work
Well,
with?
we went to school with each other. That's how we know each other.
I
But
gotcha.
he worked at Circuit City almost as long as I did, or longer. No, a little less.
You were in the warehouse. That was way back.
Yeah, that's how I started. So I originally started at Leechmere. Then I started doing loss prevention. And then towards the end, and Leechmere went out of business. And then a friend of mine who was one of the managers there went to work for Caldor, then called me up and said, I had an opportunity for you. So I'm like, all right, let's go. It was such a mind boggle, because I was going to collect unemployment. And I worked for the liquidator right to the end. So I got a nice big bonus before I left at Leechmere. And I was like, I'm going to take the whole summer off. I have an in-ground pool in the back. I'm like 21 years old. No, I couldn't have been. I'm like 22, 23. And I'm like, I got life, by the balls. I'm not going to go do anything. And it might have been like a Friday or something I left. And the following Friday, he calls me up and he's like, hey, you're going to start working for me on Monday. You got to go through an interview real quick. So I did that. And it was a formality, but I did it. And then that's when my whole life changed for, strictly being retail. And it took me a number of years. I was a store manager for Michael's Arts and Crafts.
Yep.
I did that for a number of years. And then finally got out of that, and I went to work for an independent bottler in Worcester. And then I got to do what I'm doing now. So it's weird how life takes you through all these loops. And because my father, my first father was a mechanic. And for me, I think I got into mechanics I enjoyed working on cars, but I always had this weird relationship with my dad. And I wanted to be like him because I wanted him to like me in a weird way. Yep. We don't have a relationship now, but my mother ended up remarrying down the road, and that's who I really I also call him my dad, because he was like a staple in our life. And unfortunately, we lost him last year, but like you said, carpenter, that was what my father did. My last father was a Finnish carpenter, so it's kind of weird how you know, you go through life and you're doing something that you would probably never think in a million years you would do.
I mean, I spent 20 years in retail. Now, I do kind of like compliance for like an investment firm. Like, it has nothing to do with what I've ever done.
Yeah. I mean, my modeling career is done. This is all I got. So, you know, but I've always been fascinated with how somebody can build a car from the ground up and do what you do, because, you know, the end product is insane. Like, I'm a big Fast and Furious guy. I love that show. I don't care what anybody says. You can say anything you want about me.
In that movie.
Yeah.
There is.
I'll watch them all day long. You know what I mean? And was it a Chevelle he was driving? The Vin Diesel? Charger, you know, ripping that thing off the line. And, you know, you can't appreciate that if you weren't actually in one of those or had a muscle car. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's pretty neat. So whatever prompted you to start your own business, because I'm fascinated with people. We talked about it before. I would love to own my own business. I just don't have enough balls to do it. I've run other businesses, and what I do now is I help people be more profitable in their business. It's just weird that I haven't actually pulled the trigger and started my own.
It's scary. I've always wanted to start something and do something, even from when I was, you know, Circuit City, Best Buy, back to Circuit City. It was like, man, I would love to do this for myself. And that was just car audio. And then remote starts came into play, and then all this stuff. And I worked for a guy for years in Connecticut. And it was like, man, I always talked about it. And I just was like, I got to pull the trigger. Well, you know, I started doing it. I got a different place and started doing it on the, you know, just sides, nights and weekends. And it got so busy. I was like, man, like, I got to be here because this is building up. And being my own boss, you know, not having to answer to anybody, which is listen, you ask me, I'll give you the shirt off my back. If you tell me, you ain't moving. It's like getting blood from a stone. It ain't happening. Right. You know, like, I was like, I gotta do this. And it was scary. Like, I had my second kid on the way and was leaving a job that I wasn't happy at, because I'd left one of my places and went to this place about 2 years. It just I didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, right. I can't stay here anymore. Like, I'm going to explode. Like, this is just so lame, and it's just, you know, so boring. You know, I went to a bank for a while. I'm like, this sucks. Like, it's not what they told me. They talked it up like this glorious thing. And
I never picture you to work at a bank. Out of all the jobs, like, I went in for the last one.
He didn't wear the rings at the bank. He didn't wear the rings at the bank.
I went in for a banker position, and they hired me as an assistant manager. And I'm like, all right, cool. And you know, it's gonna be this. It's retail.
Yeah,
I don't care what they tell you. It's retail.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Well, and the bank you went to didn't even have good hours.
Yeah,
No.
Like, I could picture him. You know, can I have
like good bank hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could picture him. You know, can I have those bills in 20s? He's got the rings on. He's like, you'll get it in hundreds and like it.
So I was like, you know what? I got to get out of here. But it was, like I said, my ex-wife was 6 months pregnant with my second. I have two boys. You know, one's 5.5 and the other one's not just turned 9. And I was like, I'm leaving a job with a steady paycheck and benefits and a 401k to nothing. Like,
Man,
I'm just
scary.
taking a guess. I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And, you know, here it is, you know, 6 years later, you know, 5.5, 6 years later.
Don't mind me for a minute. I'm just going to bring this down just a little bit.
And I was gonna say do something, but I'm gonna behave.
No, go ahead, let it rip.
So
he can edit it out.
Yeah. So it was, like I said, it was extremely scary and hard. Like,
Sure.
I went almost 3 years without, probably more than that, without taking a paycheck home. And then when I took one home, it was minimal for about a year, and then I cut myself back to not taking anything, and then. Now the last year, it's like I have no choice. I have to, you know. It's just I can't keep going, you know, like this. My savings and everything was just kind of and was just hammering on me. So it was definitely scary, but I'm glad I did it. It was the best decision I ever made, you know, because I mean, it's the business is up. I've made a name for myself. So if I leave, if I move, it's not like, oh man, everybody's not going to know where I go. Like, people still don't know where the shop is, but my name's out there, so they call and ask. So it's, you know, just getting recognized in with other businesses that have started, give or take, right around the time. And there's a whole bunch of guys in my neighborhood where I am that have been around forever. I get referrals from them like crazy, you know, and
The word of mouth, it's
huge.
that's where it is, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
It's and I do it a lot of car places. You know, like I said, Carbon Kings does stuff. BG Window Tint does stuff we don't do. I mean, Brett's business, IQ Inc. I mean, I wouldn't use anybody else for any of our, apparel. So when somebody comes in with another business and they're like, oh, where'd you guys get those new shirts or those sweatshirts? Oh, dude, call my buddy or his wife. You gotta use them. They're phenomenal. It's when we do our car shows.
Probably one of my top referrals is from Tony. Yep.
We do our car shows and we get the shirts that I give away shirts and the shirts for my staff at the car show. They never miss a deadline, never. And sometimes I'm like, listen, I need this. My car show's in like a month and a half, and it's like this crazy insane order because I'll need like bigger sizes and smaller sizes and kids sizes. It's not like 100 of this size, 100 of that size. It's 50 of these, 20 of those, 10 of those. And they don't miss a beat. Every time they're on point with it. So it's that referral is huge, like that when I go to somebody for something or if I'm referring somebody, I'm referring them because I use their business,
Right. Yeah, I mean, with Brett, my inner circle is really small, especially when it comes to referrals, right? So there's a handful of people that I will, the minute they say something, it's gospel, and I'll go on that. When Brett called me, he's like, I got a guy that'll come on. I'm like, just bring him on. Like, that's the kind of guy I think he is. So I knew that you're going to be that kind of guy. You know what I mean? So it's true. People who are like-minded, their circles are like that. So when we talk about referrals, you're not going to give somebody someone's name and be like, well, good luck.
It comes back on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing more powerful than word of mouth advertising, and especially when I have a bad experience with a company, that's the first thing that I bring up and I talk about is the fact that listen, I don't want to say something bad about your company, because I know how powerful that is, and it takes so much to acquire a customer, from a cost perspective, in advertising and just getting yourself out there, that you don't want to lose that person once it's there, and referrals and personal word of mouth, like it's usually, if you're recommending something, it's usually to a friend. You don't just randomly recommend something. It's to a friend or an acquaintance. So then not only, may that, it'll eventually make you look bad, or your friend will come back to you, and then you'll have that personal liability. Like, dude, I can't believe you sent me that place. The place was a shit show. Yeah. You
never listen to you again.
Nobody wants to hear that from a friend of theirs. Like, okay, now through a referral, I let my friend down, and I feel like shit about it. So, and we talked about it when we first talked about my business. Like, that's how it's grown. Is first friends and family, and then just referrals from prior customers, like people that we don't. That we didn't know, but now do know, and I'm sure you see it too, where it's just like, oh, well, I, you did a friend of mine's thing, a couple months ago, and I loved it. Yeah. And he said, you're great. I want to get something done now too. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than that, because it's almost like a guaranteed form of advertising, because it's like, okay, I've seen, Facebook and, other social media ads for this, and I've seen it on billboards, and I've seen commercials. But the one that stands top of mind always is the one that your friend said, hey, this is where I would go, or this is where I've been, and I loved it.
And it's hard. Like, you can't make everybody happy. Right. You just can't, like, no matter what you do. So it's like you gotta, for the most part, especially, if a friend refers them, or if worse is if somebody walks off the street, because if they come in off the street and they walk out unhappy, you might not be able to get a hold of them again. At least through a friend, if it's something that, let's see if we can, let me see what I can do to make this right. Whether it's the customer's fault or yours, you still gotta, that's, my father told me that a long time ago. He goes, when you start your business, he goes, you're going to mess up. He goes, you're going to make mistakes. Everybody does. It's how you take care of them and how you fix them. He goes, you can't give the house away, but you got to take care of them in a fair way.
Right.
Yeah. We've gained plenty of customers and retained plenty of customers, like I say, you can't do everything right, so every once in a while there's a miscommunication. We had one where we misunderstood the color of the shirt. Customer said, I want this color shirt in this style. Well, that specific color name didn't exist in that style, but we knew they wanted that style, so we picked like the closest one, but it was, it was kind of like between two that, you could have kind of went with.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, you know what? We should have specified. We should have went right back. But in the interest of getting it done, we kind of made a choice. We were wrong. Here you go. Here's all your new shirts, on us.
Yeah.
There's been some other instances where, customer comes in and they're like, oh, we'd really like to see it. We saw this on your website. You don't have it on your floor. And like, well, we'll just order it in. You can come look at it. We'll order a sample because we don't have it on our floor. We'll get it for you. And they're like, we can't believe that you're doing that. We were dealing with a previous print shop, and it was just like, no, like, it's either there or it's in our, you can either view it online or you can view what's in our showroom, like it or not. What it cost us, cost of one sweatshirt. And then now we gained a customer, from what they tell us for life, as long as, we do right by them for the cost of one sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Now we have it on display for all our customers. So how did we lose?
Right.
Right. How, but now the other place definitely lost.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah. No, kudos to you for starting your own gig, man. Because like you said, you will have a period of time where you're probably not going to make a paycheck, right? Psychologically, like my heart stops a little bit. I have to make a living. Like my wife's disabled. My wife had a subarachnoid hemorrhage, so 8 years ago or something like that. So I have this pressure, like I have to perform every week in order to make a living, and, who would have thought that she would have fell down the stairs and suffered a brain injury? It happened. You know what I mean? So like right now I could imagine myself starting my own gig. The thought of that would probably keep me up at night.
Yeah, you can't do a cold turkey.
That's
how I did it. I did it gradual. It was never. It wasn't like rip the Band-Aid out quick.
Yeah, and some people think because you own a business, they have all these different thoughts of grandeur. And owning your own business is not all about butterflies and lollipops, man.
Yeah. There's no 9 to 5.
No,
there's never a 9 to 5.
A lot of hours at the shop, and I know he's the same thing in his garage. He was there 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, probably even later many nights. But a lot of people don't think that, and that's when you almost find out who your real friends are, because the ones who come in and asking for a deal and stuff like that, and knowing a lot of places. I don't know, you guys, we call around on wraps and remote starts and all. We call around to make sure that not that we're the least expensive. I say that because I hate saying cheapest, but the least expensive. But I want to stay competitive.
Sure.
And a lot of the times we are the least the least expensive, or if we're a little more than the lower guys, we're offering more in a better product, because I only use top of the line products with what I have. So I want to stay in that range. So when your friends come in and ask, and you give them a deal already on top of being the best price around, and they're like, oh, that's all you can do. It's wow, man. You know what I mean? Like I would never, you never, if I go into a guy's place, like, and go Nathan Bill's, where I get these my glasses there. I basically partner up with those guys a ton.
Yep.
When I go in there, you think I ever ask for a discount on drinks or dinner or anything? Never.
Right.
So and a lot of them and their staff comes into me, and they the same thing. They don't ask. When I give them a price, they just boom, because the owners, the managers, they all know when it's a new staff member, like, trust me, he'll take care of you. It'll be the best price and, best service. So they already know. But so a lot of people come in, and that's how you know who your friends are, when they come in and they try to beat you up for prices. And half the time it's not even them. It's the company they're working for. So It's like, man, it's not even your money. Pay full price, Yeah. But it is what it is. I always try to take care of everybody and do the best, work-wise, we're, our quality is phenomenal. Lifetime, guarantee on our installations. And I've been doing his cars for
20 years.
Yeah.
At least over 20 years. Yeah. I've never had anything installed, other than, there was a few times when I was running a Circuit City store where he wasn't working, and I just had my car audio guys, install it there. But for the majority of any vehicle I've owned over the 20 years, either Tony or someone that he's had working for him has installed it, and I don't have any complaints. And if something ain't right, I bring it back and he fixes it right away. So
yeah, that's the thing. I'm a little more patient when it comes to things not going right. Sometimes I'm not perfect by any means, so when things don't go right, I'm usually pretty good about, hey, I'll bring it back and I'll be like, hey, this isn't right. So for me, it's about customer service. I don't mind paying the extra dough to get the end result and how I like it, because sometimes like I can't articulate what I want, but I know what I want in my head. Like you can't tell, but I'm loaded with tattoos. I have a very hard time articulating tattoos, what I want. But my tattoo guy, we're on such a level, almost like a marriage. So when I lost my father last year, I put together all these different things to go on my back, and he did some stuff, and you know, I told him I'm at that level with him where I can go, I don't like that at all. He takes no personal hit by that, and he's like, got it. What did you like about it? And I'm like, okay, I like this and that, and then he'll send out another drawing, and he told me that he goes, once I sent the first one to you, I knew you weren't gonna like it. He goes, but I have a backup, and I'll send that to you. And then boom, I'm like, that's it, you know? And so when it comes down to customer service, I'll spend the extra money. Like when I travel, I used to fly a lot before COVID. And with some airlines, paying that extra money was worth every single penny, you know, because I was comfortable. I fly long flights. So right from the start, when I first got there, you're taken care of, you know? And some people are like, you spent an extra $200 when your company pays for the rest of the ticket. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, why? I'm like, because they do it right. You know, I don't really drink on the plane because I'm one of those people that sit in the plane and go, oh God, it's going to crash. It's going to crash. It's going to crash. But I'm much better. I've taken like 40 something plane flights since I started working with this company. But now I'm at a point when I check in, they always say, you know, Jeff, would you like an upgrade today? Because they see my history.
Yeah.
And I'll say to them, sure, what do you got for an upgrade? And then as you get more and more and more, like the last time I flew, I got upgraded for nothing because I upgraded so much. If I didn't do that, you know, and I wasn't asking for it either, you know. So like I have a friend of mine that was on the podcast, shout out to Keith Gordon. He owns a restaurant in town called Burgundy Brook. And
nice.
We've been friends since we were kids. And I never once asked him for a discount going in there. You know, that's how I support him in his business.
Yeah.
And if you ever want some brick oven pizza,
It's in Palmer, the place?
It's right in Three Rivers.
Oh, okay.
Right down the street. He does deliver, and his stuff is just insane. His breakfast, oh my God. I'm telling you right now, if you like eating breakfast food, I'm a huge, I mean, obviously I don't miss a meal, but that food is just absolutely insane. And you know, I think it's really important that when a friend of yours, or even somebody who you might not be a close friend, but somebody who you know that has a friend that has a business, to really kind of support that person, because you never know, man.
Yeah.
You know, like we could be talking now, and then a year from now, I need something wrapped. You know, it happens just like that. You know, like the camper. I swear to God, those wheels are going, man. I'm a big Boba Fett guy, so we're gonna have to do something with Boba Fett.
There you go. Yeah.
Can you wrap like non-cars? Like, can you do like walls and stuff like that? Or
we got we do. I mean, boats, cars, buses. We can do walls, wall graphics. There's floor ones. They don't really last as much. I mean, they're made more durable, especially the garage floor ones.
Yeah.
Tables.
Oh,
her kitchen table.
I didn't think of that. Yeah.
We did.
Did you really?
It's like wood, like a like. If you go into the casino around here,
the same thing I'm going to do on my wagon.
Yes.
Yep.
That wood grain on it.
Did you see my wagon?
No.
Clark Griswold right there.
You have like a station wagon?
I bought it last year over the summer. I bought an 81 Ford, what the hell is it? Country Squire with the wood paneling.
You're not messing around, man.
Yeah,
I'm coming.
It's
he's got a little bell.
He just finished.
It's already it's lowered, you know, with some rims on it and stuff. And, I got to get a little body work done to it, but it's going to be. We haven't decided completely if it's going to be like a flat black or gloss black, but it's going to have like a grayish, like a graphite and black wood panel instead of like the brown wood panel. Yeah. So he did her Vanessa's kitchen table.
Make sure you give me a picture of that too, so I can.
That's actually, you know.
That color was, he's like, dude, that's the color.
Yeah. You could get that picture of Lauren Hill.
Oh, I could do it right on here.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be absolutely sick.
We can do anything like on the table. The graphics they have, like that stuff, it's a different kind of material. Like, I'm not a gambler. I don't like donating.
Yeah.
So I have never been in any of the rooms at the casino, but any of the rooms at the casino that have a table or something that looks like marble or wood grain or whatever, it's all a wrap.
Is it really?
It is all a
Yeah,
wrap.
it's like
in
a
there,
high,
yeah.
like a high density. It's called Dynoc, right?
Yeah, it's
like a
40-year
super-
warranty.
super
because it's all
durable,
interior.
thick, like wrap, and like you can't peel it off.
Really?
Like it would rip the surface off your table if you peeled it off. Yeah,
Oh wow.
and it's like
But it refinishes it to give it a different look, like old school desks, those bent metal ones. They were redoing those in places, and it looks brand new. But any of the stuff, like we can do a printed graphic, yeah, and have something on here if you wanted to. It's
Yeah.
crazy stuff.
Well, my favorite singer is Lauryn Hill. We named our daughter after Lauryn Hill.
The Fugees.
Yeah, 18 years ago or almost 19. Yeah, she'll be 19 soon. So that's the only poster I didn't have up here, but I definitely want to give her up. But these are the people that kind of inspired me through my life. I'm a big Godfather fan.
Huge right here, too.
yeah.
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix is. I mean, you can't even put a price tag on him. Christopher Walken, hands down, my favorite. All
I think
times.
we tried with some Christopher Walken imitation. Or,
I suck at it, yeah.
impersonations.
He is so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah,
Oh, my God. Out of his mind funny, that guy.
Yeah.
I love the lion story. You ever hear him do the lion story? On
What movie is that? That's
when they were pool shark, or they were doing something with pool, and
Pool
he
Hall
met the
Junkies.
yeah,
Yes.
yep, and he met the guy in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And that was hilarious.
My favorite one is the Pulp Fiction one, where he's having the conversation
Oh.
with young Bruce Willis. When he's talking about the watch.
Yeah, yep, yep. The other one I really, really enjoy is True Romance, when he
Yep.
sits down with the kid's father
Yeah.
inside the trailer, and he has that whole dialogue. That was insane. I've watched that. I watched that one scene probably 70 times, and I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
At least that. And going back to all his old films, he's just a brilliant guy. And I'm a big Robert De Niro guy. Al Pacino, my
Oh,
favorite guys. I didn't have enough wall space. Although I think I might take this down, and I might run those guys and put
Yeah.
that somewhere else. That
You
wasn't
could
my
do-
first choice.
You could do Brando, De Niro, Pacino, and make
Oh,
it a
right,
Godfather wall.
yeah. Oh, and the possibilities are endless. It's funny that
Possibilities are endless.
like your business, I'm feeling what that must be like at a certain level. Trying to get everything the way I want it, and I have to wait at times for the cash flow to come back because I'm not getting paid for this. This is strictly on my dime, but it's the passion. So that's why I love when I hear someone started their own business because I feel that passion about starting your own business. Like I said, I just don't have enough balls to do it. So it's unbelievable. But you said you were a big Mustang guy.
Huge.
Talk to me about Mustangs.
So let me ask you this. You said you had a muscle car before.
Mm-hmm.
What did you have?
So I had a Chevelle for a short time.
Oh, beast. Love those cars.
And believe it or not, I had a 76 Regal, okay, that we had done up. And then I had an 80 Monza.
Those are the older ones. 76 was the older one, too,
Yeah.
right? With the sloped hood and everything like that.
Yep.
Yeah, those were nice.
Yep, we beefed that out. So I was in automotive in high school. We put a 350 rocket in it, and that thing cranked. I still can't believe my father let me play around with that much horsepower. And then the Monza was another beast. 80 Monza with a 350. You just can't put a price tag on that. Well, I could put a price tag on it because it cost me a lot of money to fix it.
It's funny because the Monzas were available in a 4-cylinder
Yeah.
or a 350.
Right.
It was like a crazy, it was just like this little hatchback. Those were hatchbacks,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It was like this little hatchback, and you could get it with like this little tiny 4-cylinder, or you could get a V8.
Yeah.
And the thing was like, it weighed nothing. Yeah. It was,
You know what? The first car that ever made me like my jaw drop that you didn't expect to be, it was like a sleeper, was the Grand Nationals.
Yes. 6-cylinder with turbo.
they were faster than the quarter mile or 0 to 60. They were faster than the Ferrari of that year.
Yeah. Yep. And I remember on Memorial Drive in Chicopee, we were in a Mustang GT, an 89 maybe.
A Mustang on Memorial Drive? Come on.
Yeah.
In Chicopee, in the 80s, 90s,
Yeah.
unheard of.
Oh, that place was amazing, man. I'll tell you, I've had the most fun times ever on that place. Up and down. I mean, how repetitive can you get? Just driving up and down looking for girls the whole night.
Think I'll have another cheeseburger at McDonald's.
Yep. So the funniest thing I ever did, I had my Regal. I was at McDonald's and I was just pulling out. And I don't know who I saw there, but they're like, spin them up. So I locked it in, and something happened where I had to put it in reverse to get out of it and then go back in the drive. But I wasn't paying attention because these guys were all going crazy. Slap it in reverse, and I went right up the back, the front of a Honda Accord, right up into the windshield, blew out the windshield, and so my car was up on top of it. The cops had to come in, all that stuff, and I remember the insurance company literally ripped me a new ass, and flipped out at me that I did that, and thank God the person wasn't hurt in any way. But of course, you know, when the tow truck comes and pulls the car off and you see what you did, you're like, oh shit. And my car actually drove away. You know, so I got home and I'm like, Mom, I got something to tell you.
There's a scratch on the bumper. That's
She's
all.
like, it's your insurance, dude. you messed up, not me. So yeah, Mustangs are my favorite. We talked about the Mustang, the Mach 1. What's your favorite Mustang?
I'm a Fox body guy, man.
Yeah, huh?
I love the older ones, like, you know, the Mach 1, but I'm a Fox body guy at heart. I don't know. I love the look of that, you know, that style, and it's you know, 302, not a crazy motor, but the car was so light, you can do so much for it. Dime a dozen, you can do so much, you know, little stuff and spend little amounts of money to get, you know, big horsepower with those things.
Yeah, parts are everywhere. And they're
Yeah,
cheap.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of those different ones, you know, different things, you know, carbureted, you know, interior engine work, you know, bolt. Now the one I got now is bolt-ons, and I got 150 shot of nitrous in it. Let me tell you what, nitrous in any car, best bang for the buck, hands down. I got 150 shot. I paid $500 for.
Really?
It is all 100, and they're 100, whatever they are. They're at the wheels. It definitely gives you a boost, a kick, and a fanny. And let me tell you what, man, it's definitely, you know, worth it with them. But I love old school muscle. I got a bunch of younger brothers, but one of them's a Honda guy. And I said, when are you going to get, where's the other half of your motor?
Yeah.
You know?
But rotary motors, remember? Like, I used to go down to Springfield to go
RX-7s.
drag race. Yeah, and those RX-7s would give me a run for my money, man.
They can go, but like his Honda, for instance, he had, he probably had $5,000 into the motor. And he went down a quarter mile and ran 15s. I said, you ran 15s putting $5,000 in your motor? I said, I put $500 with a shot of nitrous, and I said, I'm running, you know, was running high 12s. I was like, imagine I put 500 into mine. I doing wheelies down the track. I was like, well, you see where your money's going?
Sure,
You know?
yeah.
But he's always, I love him, and he's a Honda guy at heart. I don't get me wrong, I like all kinds of cars, but the muscle cars, the 8-cylinders, like in the car club I'm in, they have all different kind of cars, from like a 1914 car all the way up to a 2019 Ferrari. Like,
oh, wow.
And it's any kind of car, you know, in the club can come in. A lot of guys have a lot of the Dodges, a lot of the new Challengers. And let me tell you what, like you were talking about luxury now, those cars are horsepower and luxury. I mean, you get in and you can just cruise down to, you know, Hampton Beach or something like that, you know, AC on, boom, but you go to the track, you can hit them things and
Those new Challengers. I mean, there's so many different options too.
and they come with a warranty.
Yeah.
You can take them to the track and beat the hell out of them, and they'll cover
Yeah,
it.
you get a 700 horsepower motor with a warranty. It's crazy.
Can you imagine that? That was my next subject. I was gonna ask you, how do you feel about these new age cars that are coming out? That
I'm still a Mustang. Still
They're
a Mustang
impressive.
guy, man.
Like, it's funny because like the wagon, I'm torn on what to do with a motor because it has an 81 302 in it, which, you know, the early 80s of Ford 302s were the absolute worst from a horsepower perspective.
oh, were they really?
Yeah, they were total dogs. And you can do a few cheap upgrades. You can put on newer heads. You can put on like late 80s, early 90s Mustang heads. You know, it'll bring your horsepower up a little bit. But the motor's still a dog. So I'm like, well, do I hold out and do I just, you know, do I buy like a newer Coyote motor, you know, and do like a resto mod? You know,
like a sleeper.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's going to be a sleeper no matter what because it's a freaking station wagon.
It's literally Clark Griswold's
Yeah.
car.
Oh, I can't wait. You gotta send me a picture.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture of it, and I'll show you like I did a Photoshop mock-up of what I want it to look like.
Yeah.
But you know, alternatively, I want to stay like carbureted, and I think I ultimately want to do like a roots blower, like supercharger.
Oh,
out the hood.
wow.
You know, so I'm thinking like, you know, do just a built-up carbureted 302 or a 351.
Yeah.
But you know, I keep going back to like old school. Like I can't bring myself to like throw, you know, do that resto mod thing and throw a fuel injected motor, you know, with a computer into like this sweet old station wagon. And like, I also have, which is for sale, a 71 Vet.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I saw it today.
Yeah. I haven't heard from him in a while. We'll talk about that later, but,
It's almost running.
So my wife and I bought that. I don't want to know how much it's going to cost. My wife and I bought that for each other kind of as a wedding gift. So I've had that for, hold on, let me do the math. Like
Make sure you get it right.
Yeah, she's going to be watching.
16 and a half years.
I can't save you if you get it wrong.
Yeah, 16 and a half years. And, you know, I've had various things done to it, but it stayed parked for a while just for different reasons. And one of the main reasons is it used to be in my garage. When I started my business in my garage, I moved it out and it got weathered and stuff.
Sure.
So, you know, over 16 and a half years, I think I might have put not even enough to do an oil change. I've done oil changes, but not because it hit 3,000 miles.
Yeah. So does it run?
It's at the shop right now.
Yeah.
The last time I brought it to Brad's actually, because Brad's does all my work. We print their T-shirts.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And I bring all my automotive work to them, and they're fantastic. So I dropped it off to them, and they worked on it for a couple of months a few years back and got everything running perfectly. And so I drove it for a summer, and then towards the end of the summer, the gas tank started leaking.
Oh.
So then I, kind of put off driving it for a while, and then I'm like, all right, I'll replace the gas tank. And I brought it to a place, and I bought a new gas tank, but because it was actually originally a Pro Street vehicle. It was a drag car.
Yeah.
So it's got a roll cage in it and everything.
Oh, no kidding.
5-point harnesses, nitrous, 250 horsepower. Yeah, it's like an 11-second car, mid-10s
Wow.
maybe, yeah. But so I brought it to a place, and had a gas tank welded up because it has dual fuel pumps and has a sump in it and everything like that. And I never finished hooking it back up. So, with actually, well, there we go, a referral. Tony sent me to a place right down the street from him.
Yep.
And they're working on it right now to get it back running. I'm going to be selling it just because a 2-seater Corvette doesn't necessarily work for a family of 5 anymore.
Yeah.
Station wagon's a little more, at it.
Yeah.
But, that thing is a carbureted beast. And, that's what I want from my wagon. Because, there's just something about, firing that thing up. And it's just,
you hammer it and them secondaries kick in.
You hear it.
The first several years when I owned that, and I parked it in my garage, and I would start it once a week, just to keep everything going through the winter, and my neighbors must have hated me because didn't even have a choke on it. So I had to really try to get it started. And then once I got it started, I have to keep it revved up and everything like that, and then get it to operating temperature, and then I would shut it down. And the thing shook the whole house because it was in the garage. I opened the garage up and everything, but yeah, there's just something about that you get a little bit of it from the newer cars, but eventually I think I'll just end up with a big ass supercharged carbureted motor in a station wagon.
There's a guy right on the top of the hill behind us here that has a Monte Carlo that he's been building. And it's sick. So, see how the sharp corner where I live?
Yeah.
Constantly he rips it as he goes around the corner. So finally one day I get pissed, and then I go up there. I know he's always working on the thing, so I pull up. I get out of the car. I said, hey, I live down at the bottom of the hill. He's like, oh, nice to meet you. I go, yeah, well, this isn't probably a conversation you're going to like. And he goes, what's up? I go, you got to stop ripping it by my house, man. I go, listen, I appreciate it. And he's like, yeah. He goes, I just can't help myself. And he was so sincere. You know what I mean? He wasn't even trying to be like a jerk about it. So we start laughing. He goes, I'll definitely do that, man. He goes, I'm so sorry. But then because the hill's so high, he'll punch it and then just ram it right up.
Yeah.
And it's loud. And but he's like, so last couple times that he saw me coming down, he jumps it. And I look at him, I go, I got you, man. But I forget what that feels like to have that, hit that gas, smell the burning fuel, because I have the brand new Telluride, and I get that thing. I get all the creature comforts, man. The thing drives on its own, has autonomous driving. I'm so spoiled. But I want to get back into a car that has shit for shocks,
every
drum brakes,
all kinds of rattles and stuff.
Yeah. Because if you think about it, right, another generation from now, who knows if these things are going to go away? How much longer can we keep these things going? You think about it, 1969 Mach 1 or whatever. Look where we are now for time. If we lose that generation of people that are willing to take care of cars like that, then is that a picture of it right there? Oh, I'm telling you right now, that's a sleeper.
Is that the wagon?
Yeah.
Oh, Clark Griswold right there.
Yep.
That's the mock-up. That's what it's going to look like.
Oh, my God. You got to send that to me. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
You saw that mock-up, right? That's the black with the 20-inch chromes. Yeah.
That is absolutely awesome.
I'm the same way with it. I don't drive mine. And everybody's always like, you're just like my dad's got one too. That's all roll caged up like his. And my dad hasn't driven his in 3 years. It sits in our storage. And
Oh, wow.
he's like, they're like, you're just like your dad. You don't drive yours. I pull it out, park it on my front. I was like, you know what? I got to do something with this thing. I wanted it black. I changed the interior. It was gray to black. So it's black on black. And we started wrapping vehicles. So my wrap guy's like, dude, this thing sits out here all day. We got to do something with it. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I said, I like my black car. He's like, no, it's got to draw attention. So we went through looking at different colors, ordering samples. Finally got a color that I wrapped it, almost the color of Brett's shirt, basically.
Oh,
it's
wow.
got burgundy, an olive green, black cherry, yellows, orange, gold, amber. As you walk around it, the way the sun or the rain, everything hits it, it's a different color. So I went through, bought samples, and we did one fender this color, one fender that color. Took it out in the sun. I was like, I want the one that changes the most. There's some that have more colors in them, but mine, it just changed where it hit. So, people are like, what's up with that green Mustang? I said, green? What do you mean green? Well, look, it's mine at a certain angle. It's got an olive green. This is like 6 months after I've had it. I'm like, I never saw that color. But it's, like you said, a lot of those wraps are, cool colors. And it sleeps in the winter. I barely drive. Even my car club president, Jamie, he is always
Shout
like,
out.
he goes, why don't you drive that thing? I was like, and he's a Ford guy, but he's also a Dodge guy. He's got him and his wife got these pretty cool Challengers. But he's a Ford guy too, and he's always like, you got to drive it. Like, I'll show up in the shop Jeep at a car show, and he goes, dude, what? I'm like, man, I don't know. It's just with 2 kids in the back, it's standard, and
Right.
But we do like parades and stuff, and we do a lot of charity stuff, and we end up driving it. But yeah, right now I got a 91 Mustang, a 2000 Jeep Cherokee.
Oh, wow.
Or the lift and stuff. But everything I have is, I can't do anything wrong because it's all lettered up. So anytime I spin the tires or do something stupid, I can't even flip anybody off and get road rage in traffic.
Right where you are.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. So
Let's talk about the Power Wheels thing that you did for a while. You did a lot of donations and stuff like that. This is impressive. Like you did a lot of great stuff with that.
Probably almost 4 years of that. We did maybe 3 years. Yeah. So first thing I did was I redid a Power Wheels for my kid. I had one. It was old and beat up. I don't know where I got it. Somebody found it and was like, oh, you want this? So I stripped it apart and had it painted from the place down the street, Greg's Car Care. Greg.
Yep.
He painted it for us. So then I like car paint, clear coat and everything. Then we put some decals on it, put all kinds of lights on it, and, like headlights, like these things that are like headlights. I mean, they're like 20 feet down the road. So when we go for walks at night, so the kids, they're zipping around in these things, under dash lighting.
Stereo and everything.
So yes, so we do all this stuff, so then I started doing them, and I'm like, oh man, you know what? And I'm a sucker for a sad story. So go over to Nathan Bill's, and he's got a poster up, for, this person's got cancer, or this little girl has this, or little boy has it. I'm like, damn, I go, what's up with that? And he'll tell me the story, and I'm like, dude, I'll donate a raffle prize. So all hands on deck. We're there rebuilding this Power Wheels, staying late at night, doing this after hours, rebuilding these Power Wheels that underglow and all kinds of stuff on them. So they're really cool looking.
You're not messing around.
And
they came out
they're crazy. We have a bunch of pictures on our Facebook page. And we would donate them as a raffle prize. So you know what, just take this and raffle it off that day, and just, it always goes to, a good cause. So, and then one of the winners will be a kid that, they get to drive it away,
Yeah.
And it's like it's an old one beat up, but once Greg's did the paint on it, we put it all together and put the lights on it and stuff. It looks brand new, and everybody's like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like we did that we did so many of those. My guys are hating them. We had like 36 of them up on the roof.
Did you really?
And my guys, because everybody would just, I'd come in and there'd be like 5 of them in a pile, like dropped off, and they'd be like, stop. My guys were like, stop this. We got all this stuff, and you got to get rid of these. And I'm like, so we would redo them, but people would just keep dropping them. We'd take 2 and make 1, and there were some pretty cool ones we did, and everything we would try to like personalize towards what the event was for.
Right, that's cool. Yeah.
You did that one. It was like a armed service or USMC one or whatever. Or
we did
for the Sullivan one?
The banquet hall at Nathan Bill's, Thomas Sullivan Banquet Hall. So the first time we set up they had a road race, I think it was, for him. And all the proceeds went to the scholarship fund. we did it was a Hummer, and we did it like the old one they used to bring to the Big E.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
with the sword up the side and everything. And on the left side, I believe it's the left side. Don't hold me out of this, any Marine guys. Whatever side they wear their badges on, I got all his badges in the order they were supposed to be in, and we made a decal of them and put them on the, like, basically would be the left chest of the vehicle.
Oh, wow.
As we're pulling the vehicle off of our, you know, the truck, setting it up for the road race day for, you know, the father and daughter are like, oh my God, like they got all his badges and they start like tearing up. They're like, they're in order and this is awesome. And I was like, I wanted to do something. I try to personalize it towards everything, you know, and that was a world of difference. I have another good friend that we lost years back. He was a big Jeep fan and a big Patriots fan. Well, I did a Patriots theme one. In the back of the Jeep, you could see, you know, the Power Wheels ones, you could see the seat. So the back of the seat, we put his last name in the year he was born, but we made it look like the back of, so as the Power Wheels was driving away, it looked like the back of a football jersey.
Oh, wow.
Patriots, you know,
Yeah.
his mom just started crying when we brought it in. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was, his cousin's one of my best friends. And when we ended up, he's like, listen, let's, you know, I want to do this and I don't want to tell anybody. I want to surprise him. You know, and put it towards the raffle prize. So we did. It came out really cool. And that one, like, that was a personalized, you know, thing towards it. And it was like I said, everything we do, we try to do a little personalization towards the event that we're doing it towards, you know. But yeah, we did those for a while. I haven't done one in a while. Nobody's really asked. They were asking me like crazy, and we probably did.
He did a
Just
ton of them.
38, 39 of them.
That's crazy.
Go to a
And,
shop, he had a mountain of Power Wheels that were donated, and then like you would just piece them together, and then he had like in the back like just ones in different parts of like, you know, of building, and you know Greg's car care would paint them up, and I mean these things were sick. I mean LED lights, switches, you know, underglow with radios and like alarms.
I love it.
They're the coolest Power Wheels ever. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, man, I wish I was 10 again.
Yeah, we did a Batmobile.
Oh, my
and I
favorite.
stacked all these project boxes on, so it had all different kind of switches. I had a light. We had it projected up on the wall, the bat signal. It was like, everyone's like, are you kidding me? We did
That
so
is
much.
awesome.
It was
it's
crazy.
the details, man. I'm telling you.
So he did actually. For my father has a muscle car also. He has a 72 Cutlass, and he did under door lights. So now when my father opens his doors, it shines the Oldsmobile Cutlass logo on the pavement.
That is sick.
That's what I used for the bat signal.
Yeah.
Actually, it was one of those. It was Batman. So
Yeah.
when you couldn't even see it in the front roll bar of the Jeep, but when you roll up to something and you flip the switch, it sends like the bat signal.
Yeah.
And the kid that who won it thought that was the coolest thing. Like, but that thing had all kinds of switches and gadgets that all turned on different lights and everything. Yeah.
Well, that's what I want to get for the Telluride. So the next model up for mine would have had those lights inside, and then the pinstripe lighting that goes all the way across and stuff like that. So when I got that, I got it as so I pulled in to buy my wife a new car because we had a Cadillac, and God, I hated that fucking car.
Oh,
God, I'm not a Cadillac
they're
guy.
garbage.
Yeah.
They're nice to ride, but when there's something goes wrong with them, forget it.
So the sunroof was leaking into the trunk. So one day I go to take the car, I go to the stop sign down the street, and I hear slush, slush.
Oh, come on.
I'm like, what? So I'm looking around like, what's that noise? So I take it back home, and I pull in my neighbor's driveway. He was gone for about a month. And thank God I parked it there because that's where it died. So I shut the car off. I open up the trunk because there's no spare tire in those. That's where all the electrical is. So I open it up, and I'm not kidding, there's but this much water in there. So the relays are going on and off. You can hear them, right? I'm like, this isn't going to be good. So I get the shop vac out, clean it all up, and then I go to turn the car back on, and all the gauges start going nuts. Like, even one of the windows started going up and down on its own. So the car ended up having to be totaled. So we went down to Belize to go get her a new car, and the Telluride's out front. And I drive myself crazy. When I buy new things, especially a high ticket, I can be impulsive, right? So we pull in there. I says to the saleswoman, I says, why is that out here? She goes, you want the keys? I go, no. Yes. Of course I want the keys.
Does Hyundai make those?
Kia.
Kia, okay.
Yep. So I ended up taking the thing down Riverdale Road. And I'm like, my wife's like, you gonna get it? You gonna get it? I'm like, of course I'm gonna get it. Like, why did I bother taking the keys, you know?
Yeah.
And it's only for $200 more a month than I was paying before because of my credit score. So I'm like, let's go, you know. Well, I didn't realize there was a next model up from that, and I wish I would have waited because it would have been more beneficial. Like it has the panoramic roof. You know, mine has a sunroof now. It's nice, but there was a lot of extras that the other ones have, the better rims and all that kind of stuff. But now that I know about wrap, like my mind's going to the flat black.
It's so crazy because you
like
could completely change the color of your car for a couple grand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and have it done in a couple of days. And then, like, if you don't like it next year, you're like, all right, I'm just going to peel this off.
Yeah.
It's
How
not
awesome
Even
is that?
a lot of the things that a lot of the Mercedes, they come with that glass roof.
Right.
Is what started out with that, and now the Lexuses are. Well, Toyotas, Hondas. Actually, Vanessa has a Honda Accord, silver. She bought one.
Let's hear something from Vanessa. She hasn't spoken at all.
Yeah.
Just agree to it.
Yeah.
You want me to tell him about my car?
Yes.
Tell me
All
what
right,
we did to
there we
your
go.
car.
Yeah, he started my car, so he blacked out. He did I have a sunroof on my car, and he did the black, so it looks like one big sunroof.
Wow.
Last top.
Yeah, and he started doing a chrome delete with the Raptor, the color that the Raptor car that they were talking about, the color changing. He started doing a chrome delete on my car with that, and tinting my taillights as well. So
It's not all what
It's
was
not-
chrome is now like
is
chameleon.
that
like.
chameleon
Oh,
color,
yeah.
purple,
Chrome, yeah, that's
blue,
awesome.
teal? Yeah,
Everybody blacks it out, and she goes, "I want something that changes color."
I want
as
something that will
people-
pop. You know,
Sure.
As
Sure.
they walk
Attention
by her
getter.
car, everybody's like, because it's on the chrome and there's so many different angles of it, it changes and whole different look to the car.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was nice looking. Now it's just like different, you know.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's got to
no,
get her new rims.
Yeah, that's the next thing. Yeah, yeah.
Carbon
But-
Kings.
Yes, carbon
Yeah.
Kings.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's crazy. That must be so neat to be able to walk out there and see the end result. That's what I love. You know, I love creativity. Like that's for me now, especially that I've been doing this. Creativity has really kind of caught my eye, and I'm opening my mind to other forms of creativity. Like I've always liked art. Like this poster here says a million things to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's that artist was deep into what he was doing that day. You know, I have a local artist right now is painting me the new a new poster is the Joker, and I'm a big old Joker fan.
Yeah.
Was it Heath Ledger? But the new one, I really got into that. The how he took a whole spin on mental illness and made that's dark.
No,
So-
was that Jared Leto that did the most recent one, or was it?
No, it was
Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. The Joker movie itself. Yes,
Yeah,
it's Joaquin
yeah.
Phoenix, yeah.
So
But
that'll be nice
Heath
to
Ledger
have.
nailed it.
He did
Yeah,
nail
he
it.
did.
And for him to be on stage with Robert De Niro, that was a big thing for
Yeah.
me. And that whole play, like, there's a couple of movies, and we talked about you being a big movie buff, so we'll get
Oh,
into
yeah.
that in a minute. So, like, when Robert De Niro sat down with Al Pacino in the restaurant, what movie was that? Heat. That was one of my
Yes.
favorite movies.
That was one of the greatest scenes. Those
You should.
guys.
I told you this was a home theater before. That movie on High was insane. That like the bank shootout was
Yeah, the shootout.
yeah. The only other time that I was absolutely impressed with that whole thing. So my grandfather was a second wave into Normandy, and we watched Saving Private Ryan together. And I didn't think he was going to want to watch it. And I said to him like 10 times, like, "You sure you want to watch this?" He's like, "Oh yeah." So he told me that halfway through, he goes, "That beach scene was exactly how it happened, and the sound was spot on." So his job was to protect the chaplain getting onto the beach,
Yep.
and then let the chaplain start giving last rites, and he would go storm the 50 cals. So could you imagine being like whatever age he was? Because I saw his uniform when he passed away. I didn't know that he still had it. My grandfather was kind of a big guy. But you see that uniform, and it was like the uniform of an 18, 19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And here he is, you know, protecting a chaplain with 50 cals ripping off at him. You know, that generation was just hardcore. You know, the guys that did Nam were hardcore. You know, like, those people that go to war and are able to have that switch to be able to do that, you know, is, I mean, I didn't have to do that. But I did, after 9/11, I did try to join the military. But I have a heart condition. I'm on any constant medication. They're like, you can't do it. And I was kind of bummed out about that because during 9/11, I felt like that's what I really wanted to do. But, and that's why, you know, with this whole environment we're at, if I'm going to send somebody into war to take my place, I want it to be for a just cause. You know what I mean? But this country, and I don't want to get too much into it. We have a war machine, and
military industrial complex.
Yep, and we can definitely have a podcast on that down the road. But so when it comes to movies, I'm a big sound guy.
Yes.
Like Star Wars, I love the fact that Disney took it over. Some people were like, "Oh my God, Lucas isn't going to do anymore," and I'm like, you know what? Like anything, he's going to add his little spin on it, and I like mechanical noise. I like that. If it's mechanical, I want to hear when the X-wings open up their wings. I want to hear the locking in.
That's what the surround sound is great for.
Yeah.
I still use when I do like demos, or when I first set it up at her house, when I moved in with her, I was like, Vanessa's house, I was like, all right, we got to hear my surround sound. I still use Top Gun and Days of Thunder when he drops the hammer. When he drops the hammer. I'm dropping the hammer. No, you're not. Wham. It just, you can hear it going around the room. It's like, I've been in NASCAR. We went to NASCAR together. We brought the championship belt. That's another story. But it's insane. It's like when the whole room shakes going around you. It's crazy.
Yeah, I have a pretty insane home theater system. I'm not upgraded.
Old Circuit City stuff.
Yeah. I mean, when we worked at Circuit City, you used to get, I'm sure you probably saw similar things, in different retail environments, but, vendors you carried offered employee accommodations 80% off. So I bought the top, the second to the top end Polk Audio stuff for a dime.
Yeah, I got a Polk Audio subwoofer in the other room. I haven't used it in a while.
A Velodyne 18-inch 1,000-watt subwoofer.
Wow. I got the 12-inch of that same series at the house.
And then I got the Polk 300 or 500 watt powered towers with dual 8-inch subs in them, and the system's insane. I haven't gone to the 6-channel, 7-channel but 5.1 for the most part is still just. When you pack that much sound into it, oh man, almost every time when I'm recalibrating things, Days of Thunder. Let me hear them go around the track.
Yep.
I like you said, when you hear when Iron Man, I like hearing it when they're sitting in a restaurant. I like hearing you're sitting there all of a sudden, you're like, because you think you hear a fork clanking on a plate behind you. Yeah. I like hearing all of that stuff because it makes the movie more like you're involved in. I love watching movies.
Yeah. I'll never forget when I worked at Leechmere. Of course, I was dating back then, and I would go to this club, and I see this girl all the time, and I thought she was totally out of my league, but I'm like, you know what? It's game on. I'm working this one. And it was like climbing Mount Everest, It took me forever to get there. But I remember I got her to finally come to my apartment. I was told I was going to cook her dinner. And what impressed her was I just bought this new audio. Remember the audio stuff that used to come in a whole set?
Oh, yeah.
So you got everything. I mean, this thing was huge. It was gorgeous, and it was all lit up, and she came in the house, and she made a beeline for that thing. And I'm like, really? This is how I'm going to get you? Okay, whatever. And I was really big into making mixtapes, like the Love Jams. I was your guy, man. I was your guy.
Friday night Love Jams.
Yep. Everybody from work, they'd be trying to get with somebody, and they'd be like, Jeff, can you make me a tape? I'm like, yes, I can. And I had stuff that I would have on deck already. So I would have tapes already done, just go in my car. And so back then, I had a 1984 Honda Accord. My favorite car, I swear to God, to this day. And
probably still be running if you owned it.
Yes.
Well, you know what's funny? It was the day of my wedding. My wife was driving it from Westfield back home, and the brakes, somehow, something happened with the brakes that they literally almost caught on fire. So we had to get towed and all this stuff, but it was the best car I've ever owned. That thing would travel through snow. So I remember when it was a huge snowstorm, we're coming from Otis, up the Otis Mountains. This thing was a tank, never even spun the tire. Just second gear all the way up, down. I mean, it was one of my favorite cars, and then we ended up having to get rid of it. But that thing was an absolute tank. And so I just lost my whole train of thought. But, so she comes in the house, and she sees this thing, and now she thinks like I'm loaded, right? And she has no idea. Like you said, I get these huge discounts. It's not like
Yep.
And she talked about that thing for the whole time. So she was going through all my tapes, and she finds the slow jams tapes. She puts them in, and that was locked and loaded from there.
One thing led to another. Next thing you know, you're dancing.
Yeah, and so it didn't last long. It only lasted about a month. But then I ran into her years down the road, and she's like, I was always so impressed by that stereo system. I'm like, wow, that's insane. But okay, you know. But I remember my first laser disc I came home with. That was pretty neat. No one else had. I mean, no one had those. You know.
And they went nowhere. But yeah, they were really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people are like, you have a laser disc? I'm like, yeah, I got a laser disc. You know, and even back then, those TVs. I worked in a warehouse too. That's where I started at Leechmere. So you had to, whatever they were for sizes back then. But it was almost a team lift to get these things.
Oh yeah.
Where they had to be. So you had this laser disc in there, and that was the shit, man. And compact disc came, and I was always with the times, except for the when the flat screen came out. That was just a little too much for me. They were like $10,000.
Oh, when first gen plasmas came out, they were $10,000 to $12,000 for like the first 2 or 3 years.
And they were heavy.
Yeah. Yep. So I couldn't get behind that. That was the only time that I never. And now look at them. For $199, you can pick up a 42 inch. That's insane.
Yeah, and it's an LED, so like,
right.
Yeah. And they're like super light.
Yep.
Hang them up yourself.
Yeah. That's what I almost got for back here. I almost got a TV for back here so I could do stuff with it, but YouTube's funny. You can't put certain things on. You can't put all sorts of copywriting nonsense. So I decided I'm not going to do that, but I had thoughts of grandeur on that. But one of these days, I do want to get a monitor for up there so I can see what we're doing as we're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, for instance, you could have like pulled up the picture of the van or whatever and put it back to back.
In the back.
Yeah, you got to be real careful with copyright stuff because they screen that shit like crazy.
It's brutal. One of these days, and I'm thankful that we have YouTube so I can get my my podcast on there. But some of the stuff, and I get it, like if I had something original, I want it to be protected. I get it. It's just it really, from like a creativity standpoint, kind of puts the kibosh on it because you look at TikTok and stuff. All the music's on there and stuff. How do they get away with all that stuff? And
well,
they don't.
And you mentioned Disney at least once on this podcast, so they'd be like knocking on your door right about now.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So shout out to Disney. So yeah, I have nothing Disney. I'm good, except for Boba Fett, but I paid for him, so we're legit.
Yeah, it's fine.
So all right, so let's play a little game here. You ready for the wheel?
Almost.
I know.
Vanessa, that was really empty for way too long. I just want to say.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What happened?
She had to pee.
Oh. That's okay. So this is our wheel. So on the wheel, you're the first person to do the wheel. So every podcast so far, we've been having people fill it out. So you're the first person that's going to be able to spin it. And then whatever topic it comes on, we got to talk about it.
Yeah, everyone else up to this point has been just adding subjects to the wheel. Like I added a subject to the wheel. Last week they added a subject to the wheel. So this is the first person to actually spin the wheel to be able to do something off it.
This is a milestone for your podcast.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so episode 16.
Put it somewhere where it's comfortable right there and go ahead and give that puppy
maybe
a
Vanessa
spin.
gives it a spin.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
You want to spin it?
Yeah, Vanessa, she's going to be our Vanna White.
Yeah. Do you want to be my Vanna White? Get in there, smile, get out so you're on TV.
Come on, good spin right here. What is it?
FMK.
Ah, yes.
Well, who do we use as FMK examples?
Oh, we got to come up with one. So it's
hell's that?
it's fuck, marry, kill.
So you give you 3 women. You got to fuck one, you got to marry one, you got to kill one.
And no offense, Vanessa, this could get a little ugly. Don't yell at him when he gets home.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
All right. Betty White,
Rosie O'Donnell.
Hillary Clinton.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You got to fuck one, you got to marry one, you got to kill one.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah, this
I'm
is
like
you.
thinking in my head, who am I
We're not
going
going
to
to ask Vanessa.
Wait.
No.
So who is it?
Betty White. You know what Betty White is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Golden Girls.
Yeah. Who was the second one?
Rosie O'Donnell.
Rosie O'Donnell.
Hillary Clinton. You got 3 women, 3 choices. You got to put them each in a
So
category.
I'm killing Hillary.
Okay.
Straight up, she's out
bitch.
first.
Now you got to fuck one and marry one.
Oh, Jesus. Can I fucking marry Betty White?
Nah.
Damn it. Jesus. Well, Rosie O'Donnell, isn't she play for the other team?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
She doesn't have a choice.
It's just straight up.
She doesn't have a choice?
She didn't spin the wheel.
She's going to tie her up and let me go at it?
I don't know. Yeah, that's all hypothetical, all right?
All right. I'll probably marry Betty White.
Oh, I would
because
too.
she is funny as hell.
Absolutely.
She's
yeah.
sweet. She is
Yeah.
sweet.
And have you seen pictures of her when she was younger?
Yeah.
She's a doll, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's
100 or 99.
99 years old.
Yeah, that's fine. She still
You
looks
ass.
good.
I thought I was going to get to pick them. You pick. I'm like, really, bro?
No,
No.
nope.
Thank you, man.
what kind of fun would that be? We got to put you in the hot seat, man.
I got you. Yeah, so I've married Betty White, and I guess I'm fucking Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton's gone.
Yeah, she's gone.
Sorry, Secret Service.
I got to be careful. So I just want to let Hillary Clinton know that I
You're
had
not
no
in danger.
Yeah, I had no part of this.
Yeah.
He spun the wheel on his own. If I come up dead,
It's all hypothetical.
You had
did
your
not-
shot, and you lost to
Yeah.
to Trump or Obama, one of them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't follow that. But anyway.
I did not kill myself.
You
just
actually
in
might
case
be in
anybody-
trouble based on all the Clinton conspiracy theories. So
Oh.
sorry, Jeff.
Yeah.
Actually, we're all probably screwed right now. We're all getting fucked.
Yeah, right
Hold
now.
on, what'd you say?
Right now, Hillary's like, you can't handle the ploof. Done. All right, so we got another game we like to play, and that is go back in time in history. What 3 famous people would you love to have dinner with
That are not here now.
that are not here now? Famous people.
Um,
And it can be famous in all genres. Doesn't matter what it is.
I'm gonna have to say Paul Walker because that guy was just from Fast and Furious.
Mm-hmm.
You got him. I'm a car guy. He's a car guy. 3 people to have dinner with.
Yep. That are no longer with us.
So I drink. That's pretty much about the only thing I do. So hold
That's
on.
a hobby.
Hold on. There's a method behind that. Like I mean, that's the only extracurricular activity I do. Like I don't do any kind of drugs. I don't smoke pot or anything. I mean, to each his own. So I'm gonna have to say I'd want to get crazy one night and I'd bring Jimmy back and have to have dinner and smoke some weed with him.
So are we doing just weed with Jimmy, or are we doing all the stuff Jimmy did?
Yeah, Jimmy's gonna want to do some acid.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I'm in.
Yeah. Okay.
Balls in. Balls deep. I'm in.
Might have to get you a tombstone that they had just like he had afterwards.
And Jesus, probably. Man, this is
It's a tough one sometimes.
well because I got good.
Yeah.
Caught me like
Yeah,
spur of the
that- well,
moment.
that's what
It's
we
good-
do.
Good
That's what we
question,
do.
but spur of the moment.
You can't handle the flu.
Um,
Let's go.
All right, got to be a famous person that passed away, huh?
Yeah. Someone. It could be someone who touched your life.
Yeah, you don't have to be famous.
That's not to be
Just-
famous, but that's always a fun one. But it can be anybody who.
Man, I'm gonna have to say. Put me on the spot here now.
That's what it's all about.
That's yeah.
I mean, you had enough drinks by now. I let you get, like, what is it, 4, Vanessa, that we're on now?
Yeah.
So 4
2.
drinks in 2.
4.
I love the math.
232 ounces.
Keeping track.
They're 16-ounce glasses.
That's it. It's got to be a real life person that died. It can't be somebody a movie character who
No,
died.
I mean, I guess it could.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is there a movie character?
Iron Man.
Is Iron Man dead?
Yeah, I don't think he's technically dead.
Yeah.
You fuckers.
Yeah.
You just killed it for me.
Iron Man. Yeah, that's it.
Do you want him in the suit, or do you want just them with Stark?
Is that just because he's gonna pay for dinner because he's got a bunch of money, or?
Jeez, I don't even know. You caught me off guard, and I can't think of somebody. I guess it would have to be somebody that I can think of somebody cool that I'd have to have dinner with.
Sure.
He'd have to be in full suit and full character.
Uh-oh.
That motherfucker right there.
Uh-oh. Nice.
Oh, Don Corleone.
Yeah.
He'd have to be in full
he's
character and full suit.
He'd have to have the cotton balls in his mouth.
Well,
Cotton balls
he is
mouth,
dead.
the little
yeah.
anus or anzu, whatever it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
He is dead, and he's famous. That
That's
counts.
true. Yeah, Brando.
Yeah,
You
he's
just
gone.
Ask for Brando in character.
Not in
Yeah.
his weird days, but
Yeah.
in his days when he was the
Yeah.
Godfather.
His Corleone.
What was the movie he played on with the island? Oh, the Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yes, that was. Yeah,
Did you ever see that?
That was one of his last movies.
Yeah. Great.
so.
Great.
Val
So the
Kilmer, I
storyline, huh?
Val Kilmer was in that.
Yep.
Or-
Yep. So he's on an island. He's a doctor, and he starts doing genetic mutation with animals, and it gets crazy. And it shows the rebellion of these people once they start getting their presence of self, and to know that they don't have to be abused or whatever.
Because he's like crossing people with animals and like making hybrids and stuff.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
Sick.
But it's one of his last movies, and it showed kind of
I'll have
like
to check that out.
the downfall of Don Carroll. I wouldn't say downfall of Brando, but he was heavy and he wasn't in the greatest health. But it was still a really good but weird movie. Yeah, it was bizarre.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I did like the whole Godfather trilogy. Like just watched them all from beginning to end. I'll have to do that again one of these days. And
I used to do that every single year, and probably about 7 years ago I stopped. But every year I would. I still own it. I would watch them all, and I was always hoping for a new one to come out.
Right. Yeah.
I do about once a year, and like my kids have gotten into it now a little bit. But just like everything, you kind of have to explain it. Especially like when but especially when you get into 2, because there's so much.
Yeah.
They try to show the parallels. Between Dawn and Vito, and or Vito and
Sonny.
Vito and who's Michael. Vito and
Oh, yeah,
Dawn
yeah.
is the
And there's so much,
Yeah.
like watching them. It's you watch it and you watch it and you watch, oh my God, I didn't catch that. Whether it's
Yeah.
a background scene or something, you catch so much stuff every
I
time
still
you
watch it and catch it. So that's
Yeah.
like I try to like, without giving too much away, I give a little bit to my kids. Like, okay, I'm like, so in case you missed it, this, but I still enjoy watching them. Like,
Yeah.
I just got mine starting watching Rocky.
Yeah.
They were on part 3, and then all of a sudden they went, because Halloween came, they want to watch the Jason movie, so they're on part 3 of those.
Those are
I
especially
grew
the
up
old
on
ones.
those.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I grew up on them too, but I don't think my kids have still seen like the OG, like Halloween or Friday the 13th. My middle son, he was New Pet Cemetery came out, and he was all about it.
That was trash.
I'm like, well, don't watch New Pet Cemetery without like watching the old Pet Cemetery.
I was so looking forward to that.
Yeah,
And then
I
it
still haven't
was
watched the
really
new one.
good to the end. And that's my problem with movies. Like, I am not a sequel guy. I very rarely will like a sequel, because especially if they don't stay close to the original, and they go off these rails sometimes that don't even make sense. You're like, what are you doing? Like, my wife will tell you, I'll get up and I'll start yelling at the TV. And I feel like I've been bamboozled. Like, I should have known better not to watch it, and I should just keep the memory of the old one in my head.
Yeah.
But like Star Wars is like a different thing for me. It could go all over the place. I could care less.
And those aren't redos; those are continuations.
Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, it's there's a few that I really look forward to. Red Dawn
Phenomenal.
remake was Point Break remake, total disappointment.
Yep. I didn't even bother watching the remake on that. I didn't watch the remake of Red Dawn either, because that was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
They're talking about remaking Scarface using Denzel. Listen, Denzel's a pimp. He can rock it, but you can't remake Scarface. I don't care what they say.
With
You
Denzel,
That's a close one. That's a close one.
Dude, especially if you look at what Denzel did in American Gangster.
Oof.
That was
he's
awesome.
already got that part nailed down, that kind of drug
But
kingpin.
make a different one, because
But
I
you'd
don't
have
know,
to
man,
change
Scarface
it.
was
You'd have to change it. It can't be, obviously Denzel's not going to be some like, Cuban immigrant. It'll be more
Cuba.
modern time. I could see that it's not going to be the OG Scarface. No one can touch that Pacino role. But I would be really interested if they did it right. Denzel could carry that. But it can't be the premise can't be the same. You can't be mid '80s cocaine Cuban drug lord. It doesn't make sense,
Right.
That's just like
if I were to guess, it'd be more along the lines of American Gangster, where it'd be kind of more modern world, maybe heroin or something like that. Drug lord.
That's
similar premise.
That's definitely doable. But like another movie back in the days, like I was a bouncer for umpteen years in Roadhouse.
Yep.
As a bouncer, I think every bouncer
Can't redo that.
They already did it with Ronda Rousey.
Did they?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't even seen it, but
That's
everybody's
why
like, it's
I
awful.
don't know, 'cause I'm not gonna
But
bother.
and they had like a part 2 and 3, but the original one you can't redo. It was just the way the movie was made, and when it came out, there's certain characters or certain things you can't.
Yeah.
You can't redo them. Like, if they literally said, we're going to remake Star Wars and you cast somebody else as Luke Skywalker and somebody else as Han Solo, you'd probably be like, I like Star Wars too, but not a crazy fan. Like, I haven't seen a lot of the new ones, but you'd be like, really? How are you going to remake that original one and recast these two and have somebody do what they did, even though the effects would probably be crazy nowadays. They were
Right.
still pretty good for back in the day. But how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
How are you going to remake?
I don't even think Disney would try that. I think they know.
Yeah.
They would just
I think
keep
they're smart enough.
adding on to
Yeah.
them, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Can't
it's
touch that.
tough. You're right. Sequels are tough to
Not
come
even
by.
sequels, remakes. Like,
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
just saw
you
the
know.
new King Kong versus Godzilla trailer yesterday,
Oh, I just shared that on my Facebook
and
page.
I
It looks-
kind of like
Yeah.
again in
what was
my
the
mind.
last one they just
in my
did? They
mind, I'm
just
like,
did a-
Because they
No.
said Kong is so big,
Yeah.
but that's technically how he's supposed to be huge.
Right. Yep.
what was the? They just did a recent Godzilla one too, right? Was it?
Yeah.
There was,
it
yes.
It was with the girl from Stranger Things. So she'll be in this next one too.
Millie Bobby Brown, that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's her name. I'm horrible with names.
Yeah.
But yeah. What's your favorite movie ever?
Man, you got to ask that, huh? I'm a huge Godfather fan. I love the Marvel movies are awesome. Deadpool. The first Deadpool is pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right, so let's rephrase it. You're stuck on a desert island. You got a VCR.
Oh,
Excuse me. You got
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
There you go. You got a
Straight up.
You got a DVD player. and a
Jim
TV.
Carrey
All
fan.
right, there you go.
That's it.
So, like, if
Ace
you had
Ventura.
one movie that you had to
Ace
watch,
Ventura, Pet
that's,
Detective.
That's the question.
I've seen that
Oh,
probably
Raven.
100 and something times.
yeah. That was a great flick. I mean, it's a shame where he went. He was very gifted, and he went off the rails a little bit. But although, have you heard some of his interviews he's been doing?
See, I'll kind of maybe career-wise, I think I wouldn't say he's gone off the rails. He's definitely redirected himself.
Yes.
His last interview I heard, he blew me away.
As far as like,
He's a pretty smart dude.
He is.
awakening or opening his mind
Yep.
and kind of
Numbers was pretty crazy.
yeah, finding himself and just becoming himself, I guess. I would say he's gone a long way in the right direction.
Sure.
You know, so I'm not sure, and I think that a lot about people. I mean, so if you look at, you know, some of the most talented, and we can talk specifically about comedic actors. You know, so if you look at like
Adam Sandler.
Sandler is
He's awesome.
Sandler. He's talented, but you know, the route I was going more was like a Belushi Farley type thing.
Oh,
But it's the drugs.
they went nuts in
Yeah.
their head. Yeah.
But that's drugs. But you know, again, you know, dig a little deeper, and you know, we're going completely off route here. But
Yeah.
you know, there's trouble there. You know, so people who go that deep and then find that outlet and end up going that way, there's usually a reason. So I think Carrie, and you know, I'm speculating here, may have found a different route because a lot of people that are very, very funny are also very, very troubled, and that's their outlet.
Yeah, that is good. That does
and
go hand in hand.
You know, so in retrospect, if you look at how talented Carey was against some of his peers who may have gone a different route, and then now you look at where he is and kind of, you know, how maybe awakened, or, you know, how
Dave Chappelle went off the he was funny too, but he
Yeah.
went off the deep end like
Yeah.
Belushi and
you know, so
yeah.
I think both those guys, you know, Chappelle kind of, you know, rerouted, and you know, he's still, you know, on that comedic route. Not that Carey isn't, you know, but he definitely really did some soul searching, I guess you could say. And some of the things he has to say now are maybe not popular, or you might not even find that they kind of mesh with, you know, his prior characters.
Right.
But man, he's got some really good shit to say. It's
See my arm off camera? That's because she's twisting my arm to drink another one. Just saying.
but yeah, he's definitely rerouted himself. You know, he's not that, you know, ultimate physical character, you know, slapstick comedy type person, but still a fucking funny dude.
Yeah.
But I think he's got some more valuable things to say.
You know, Vanessa's the kind of bartender where you're sitting at the counter the whole time going, "Hey, I got $20 right here. Come on, Vanessa, let's get on the program."
What we do, like, I come home from work and we'll, you know, after, you know, kids get fed and bed, I have a few drinks. So we'll make one, and after, like, she's making me like the third, she'll just start giggling. Oh, I'm sorry. You sorry? You want to make it because if I make it, you're afraid I'll make it half and half or more.
Right.
But you make it. Oh, sorry, that one's like a lot of alcohol in it. She's trying to get me drunk and take advantage of me all the time. I don't even know.
Hey, it could be worse things, I'll tell you that.
My hand slipped.
I very rarely ever drink, and years ago, I got diverticulitis real bad where I was going to probably get surgery in the bag. And one of the biggest things he told me to do was stop drinking, stop eating red meat, stop eating fast food. And I went from 257 to 189 in just the span of a few months. I was so scared to eat. Like, I would literally eat something and I would start shaking. And that was weird for me because I grew up eating. Like, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
And I had a couple friends with the bag, and they were like, it's no big deal, dude. Our life's got better once we got the bag. I'm like, I don't want the bag, man.
Yeah.
Like, I was so
get
afraid.
better. You're shit in a bag.
Yeah, like one guy almost died. He had Crohn's.
Yeah. Like, I guess if you have Crohn's, like if you have, and Crohn's can be deadly. If you have that condition, like where you're miserable all the time, then yes, I can see the bag being a relief. But
yeah, and then with the podcast is people started bringing alcohol, and my wife doesn't drink, so I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. But I talked to my doctor. He's like, listen, have a few drinks every now and then. It's not going to kill you, and especially wine. Cause he's like, stay away from.
I'll share, but I'm not going to force it on you because that's more for me.
Yeah,
just saying.
But I miss stuff like that. Like, I miss like right when I stopped drinking is when like all the flavored stuff started kicking up. Like I'm a big Crown Royal guy, so the Crown Royal vanilla, the peach, and all that kind of stuff. And my best friend drinks old fashions, and that kind of reminds me of my grandfather. I remember sitting down with my grandfather and having Crown Royal Manhattans. And I miss them. But I guess I can have those in moderation. But I used to come home all the time, cigar, the drink, and that was my thing. And and I had to stop smoking the cigars. And eventually I like to dabble in that a little bit. But so this is nice. So on the podcast, every Monday I'll have a little something. It definitely takes the edge off. I think it helps the podcast go better. And so I don't know if you know this. I don't know if I told you, but the reason we started the podcast was there's so much hate in the world.
There is.
And that bothers me a lot. I'm a person that I just truly love people, and I'm trying to explain to people, like, you can have different views. Like, we're eventually I'm going to start having people on to have really two opposing views, and teaching them that it's okay to have that conversation. You don't have to hate the other guy. But I'm fascinated of where you got to where you got with your political views, or life in general views, and that you can have that conversation at the end of the day and still be friends and walk away and respect that person's opinion. So if I have to teach people how to have that conversation, I'm willing to do that. And like, I have an open door policy. If anybody doesn't like what I say on here, you're absolutely able to come on and have that discussion with me. But I'm also a person, like, he'll tell you, I'll fact the shit out of you. Like, I don't debate on feelings. I debate strictly on facts. Yep. So do your homework before you come here, because I'm going to do mine. But at the end of the day, the respect is there. And, so one of the things I always kind of, people think I'm on the right all the time because I'm a Second Amendment supporter, like a huge Second Amendment supporter. I'm actually not. I'm an independent, but it's weird how that those, just because of that one thing, people label you as a certain way. So that's part of the process of the podcast here. Just having everyday people come on, talk about like what we're doing today, about what you do for work. The great things. One of the things I took away from this, and it's really good for me, is the fact that you look at charity in a very giving way. For you to go through all that work to give it away, you know what I mean? That says a lot about you.
It was minimum 30 to 40 hours each Power Wheels we did. Some of them even took more.
That's a lot of time.
And that was all after hours time I took away from my kids.
And you paid Greg's. Weren't you paying Greg's too? Like, that was your money?
He
chimed in too?
Every Power Wheels we did.
Double shout out to Greg's. Then.
Yeah, double shout out to Greg's. Every Power Wheels we did, he painted for nothing for us. I'm like,
awesome.
you sure?
Wow.
And he said, nope. Throw my name on there somewhere in a little thing the same size as
we
yours.
had the stickers,
See, that's what I'm talking about. People getting together for a common cause and then changing someone's life. That's so impactful.
Some of those raised some big money too. I mean, like, they were raffles.
Average was $500 to $800. Some people made over $1,000. And I would tell them the best way to do it is 1 ticket for $5, 3 for $10, and 5 for $20. If they mixed it in or did what do they call that one where they go up and you
Like the Chinese raffle type and all that?
No, like
or-
let's say we're all at a place and you walk up and you want it. You write $100 and he walks up and he writes $200.
Oh, like silent auction?
Oh,
Yeah, silent
yeah,
auction.
yeah.
When he did that, it did $350. But if
Yeah.
you do the other ones, and it's all going to a good cause, so why not sell the tickets? Because you go up and you're like, you know what? For $5 I can get a ticket. And it's usually 5, 10, or 20. $10 I get 3. You know what? $20 I get 3. I get 10
Yeah, but
tickets.
no one's going to say, I'm going to write down, I want to pay $500.
Yeah.
That
for
Patriots
thing.
one,
Yeah.
they made over $4,000 for that Patriots one.
Like
They just said people just kept coming up and buying tickets for it. You know, but it was for a guy younger than me that passed away, and he had 2 boys. So that whole thing, all the money was going to his boys. So there was a ton of people just throwing money at everything.
Yeah.
You know, and they wanted to win that prize for his boys. The owner of the bar, his kids ended up winning it. If he didn't have 2 little kids, he would have donated it back. But, you know, obviously he had 2 little kids, but they made a ton. It is, you know,
Yeah. No, I mean, kudos to you for
Yeah.
doing that. It takes
And
a
they're
special
fucking
person.
awesome, like,
yeah,
I'm
that's
telling you.
that's the thing.
I wish I could have fit in those Powerwheels.
Can you imagine ripping around? You know, it's funny. My boy, I don't know how old he was, we bought him his first Power Wheel. I think I got it from a tag sale, and we had a driveway, and then it came down to a sidewalk, and he learned how to blast that thing sideways, and then drift it into the.
I was saying
the
drifting.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he ended up burning that thing out in a day. Literally burnt it out in a day, and he was so pissed. I remember he comes in the house and he's just a little guy, and I'm like, "What's the matter, man?" He's like, "That thing's trash." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "It doesn't work." So I go out there and
Battery dead?
No, he burnt out the motors in it from learning how to drift and then slamming the gas on and then spinning the tires all the way down the thing, and then he would spin it again, come back, and he just beat that living hell out of it. But he was like that. He was so hard on his toys, and you know, I wish he would have been like a tester for toys, because he would have put his he would have been like the play of the month.
You edit this, right?
I can, but I don't like to edit really. So if
You can save it for later.
yeah, you can save it for later.
No, I gotta pee.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
Go ahead.
Can I?
Yeah. Well, everybody does it. We're good.
Yeah. I think I bailed middle of the last one.
So for YouTube land, Tony's going to pee.
Yeah. Lucky for us, we have a microphone in the bathroom.
That's right.
Don't forget the unveiling of the shirt.
Oh, you know what? We'll do it when he comes
Yeah.
back. But yeah, so your sleeper is going to be awesome.
Dude, I'm so it's funny. I started following this guy on Instagram, Southern Fried Rides, out of Georgia. And the guy just like buys and sells and kind of fixes shit up. And I'm always looking for weird shit, you know, and I don't know. I got it in my head like a couple years ago that I wanted to have like a wagon. I saw a cool picture, you know, somewhere on social media of like a old wagon lowered down, like all done up, you know. I'm like, shit, I'm like, I just love the look of that. Like, and you don't see that everywhere. Like, I kind of want something that nobody has, you know. And this guy bought this. He like put up a picture on Instagram, like, oh, I just picked this thing up, you know, old, like, it's like, I don't know, 60,000 original miles, you know, out of Georgia. And then he like kept posting updates, like, oh, I lowered it, put some rims on it, you know, put exhaust on it, you know, and then next thing you know, it was for sale. Like, it's what he does. He drives it, does a few things to it, puts it up for sale. So I'm like looking at it. I'm like, shit, like, I really love this thing. Mentioned it to the wife a couple times. Shake, you're fucking crazy. She already knows that, but, you know, she's just like, you're fucking crazy. So then, actually, the deciding moment was stimulus checks come in,
Oh yeah.
you know. And, you know, thank God, you know, we're still, even then, you know, we were still fine. I mean, our business shut down for a little while due to state mandates, but because we're a family-run business, we don't have any employees, or we do. We have one, but it's actually at that point we had none, and the bulk of my business is done at my house, because my print shop that I print on, where I started, is in my garage, and then, you know, my wife can go work at our shop with the doors closed. we still continued taking online orders and worked on stuff we had pending, and so we kept rolling. And I had, my job was steady at the time. So I looked at her. I'm like, we're kind of fine. I'm like, you mind if I just buy this thing? Like, I really want it. And at that point, we had agreed that the Corvette that we have, that we were going to fix it up and try to sell it. So even though we still have it, it's getting fixed, and I'm going to try to sell it. So she's like, I don't care. She's like, it's fine. And there was some kind of negotiation. She wanted something out of it. I forget what it was. I'm like, that's fine. So I called the guy, and I was like, hey man, I'm like, I've been looking at this for a while, and I think I want it. He's like, where'd you get this number? I'm like, I got it off Facebook. He's like, my number's on Facebook? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, dude, he's like, I got some bad news for you. He's like, I just sold it on eBay. I sold it on eBay, like, auction ended like an hour ago. I'm like, you shitting me? I'm like, I've been looking at this thing for 3 months, and usually on his Instagram, he would put like, hey, I'm selling it on eBay. He didn't. It was just on eBay. He's like, yeah. He's like, but I'll be honest with you, dude. He's like, this guy's already dicking me around. He's like, he wants to come look at it like a month from now before he sends me his money. And I'm like, all right. Well, I'm like, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm like, I'll be honest with you. This is what I called to offer you. This dollar amount. I'm like, so if you want to sell it right now, he's like, well, I just sold it on eBay for this amount. He's like, I'll give it to you for that. He's like, if this guy ain't going to be down for it. I'm like, well, that's cool too. He's like, and you can put the rest of the money towards shipping. So guy called me back a couple hours later. He's like, yeah, he's like, the guy's still dicking me around. Won't pay me till he gets to see it from a couple weeks from now. He's like, if you're ready to wire me the cash or mail me a check, he's like, it's yours. I'll sell it to you for this amount, which is a couple $100 cheaper than I wanted it.
Yep.
And then, it's yours. So I bought it. I'm going to take a piss though.
Is this the getter?
Yeah,
the grocery getter?
Yeah. So I'm going to fuck up your editing even more because I got to pee.
Yeah.
I'm not editing it out. It's staying in. So
I thought Vanessa would have been sitting here and I'm like, I guess I'm stuck in the hot seat.
Well, we were going to say that was way longer than number one. It might have been a number two. Just saying.
It was coming out. I was like, oh my God. I literally thought I would have been in the hot seat and she was going to be here.
She's over there making the drink, man. She's been loyal with that. Got to give her credit.
That's my ride or die.
That's true.
It is.
How'd you guys meet?
She stalked me on Facebook for a couple of years, and finally, when I became single, she.
Not true.
It's okay, but you can admit it, Vanessa. It's okay.
You see it? We got custom the sweatshirts made for my shop.
Yep.
The back of hers says "Ride or Die."
Does it really? Yeah.
The sleeve says "Future Mrs. Shukes."
Oh, there you go.
And so the yeah is
nice.
I gotta tell him about that. So that's my rap guy being funny when he was making the sweatshirts. He said, I know what it is. So her ringtone, because it's a song when we first started talking that we both liked, was Usher. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at work, when she texts me, it's not like she just texts me one thing like really long, which I guess I'm thankful for, but it's like ding, ding, ding. But instead of binging, it's that ringtone over and over and over. So the guys are like, oh, and I'll be in a car, and my phone will be in my office or up on my toolbox. And that, so for every text, it'll go, pause, and then go. Well, so if she sends me 3 or 4 texts in a row, that's 6 times that song's playing for the, so the guys are, he's like, dude, I'm putting this on there. I don't care if she likes it or not. So it's kind of a joke, but it is funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, just send it once. She goes, no. So now I think she does it on purpose.
So did you know each other before?
We did not, but we have a lot of mutual friends, I guess.
A buddy of mine tagged me in a post on Facebook about working out because I was always working out. Well, I said I can't because I had wrist surgery and I've been out of the game. And she, after she'd been stalking me, she jumped in and goes, Anthony Shukes, like this is, I'm in the same boat. So she had surgery. So I'm like, man, she's hot. Shit. How do I not know her? So I was like, messaged her back, or I messaged her on. I didn't message her. I replied to the comment. What happened to you?
Messaged me.
Oh
no, I messaged
the DM.
her. I first off, I replied, and then I'm like, hell no, I got to private message her. So I private messaged her. So then she answered, and I'm like, wow, Facebook usually doesn't get none of that. They don't usually answer. But small world, come to find out, she went to school with some of my younger brothers, my younger sister, and we know a ton of the same, people like in the same like friend group. So then we start talking, we go out, hang out a couple of times, and I was like, oh, why don't you give me your number? So she puts a number on the phone, and I look at it, and I'm like, you have a brother who's a Springfield cop? She goes, yeah. I'm like, oh, small world. I knew her brother. I just didn't know he had a sister.
Yep.
And yeah. So he's the guy who works for me on Fridays now. And,
Oh, yeah.
He's a really good dude. Yeah. But yeah, a small world. Yeah.
It's I like to hear those stories. How we have a similar story. We both met our wives through work. My wife was my boss, and I wanted nothing to do with her for like the longest time.
So she started dating the help.
Yeah. So I remember I used to she used to
My
have
wife
this
was
little,
my boss, but I wanted everything to do with her. I'm like, oh.
well, all these guys at work used to try to go after her all the time, and I'm like, she was too professional for me. I was the smart ass guy that just started working there, and she walked around with this little clipboard. I'd be behind her, mocking her and making fun of her, and then somehow she made up a story how her friends gaffed her one night, and she wanted me to go meet her at Trumpets in Chicopee. Remember Trumpets? Ooh, what a place.
Sadly, I remember Trumpets.
Yes, we all do.
It's like saying, do you remember Mingles?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So she comes walking in with her friends, well, a girl from work, and my wife never had her hair done or makeup or anything done. So her hair was done, her makeup was done, she had nails. I'm like, what? I can still tell you to this night what she was wearing exactly to the T. And then I know she was living with somebody at the time, but they were done, just waiting for this schmuck to leave. And she went home and told him, either you leave, I'm calling the cops tonight to get you out. That was it. And then the second night, that was it. And then it seems like a month later she moved in, because my roommates were like, hey, when did she move in? I'm like, she don't live here. and I started looking around. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I guess she kind of
She
does.
does.
20 years later, we've been through some shit together.
Yeah.
And, I almost lost her 8 years ago, but it's she's a warrior. We made it through. And, I'm always fascinated how people meet. It's interesting to hear that story. And then and some people meet people through adversity, and, and then just me as some schmuck who didn't want anything to do with her, But and it was funny too, because when I started dating her,
What?
Paula wasn't single when you met her.
Yeah, but I wasn't a schmuck.
No, not you. Him. The other guy.
Yeah, the other guy was
The other guy,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, no, I had to deal
That's
with
why you told me that story. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's a similarity here.
well, you know what's funny? So years down the road,
She got the better guy.
yeah,
He's not complaining.
years down the road, we lived in Springfield at the time, and we were driving. I was walking down my driveway to say goodbye to her, and I go to give her a kiss goodbye, and I see her ex-boyfriend pull up in front of our house. Well, I'm like thinking to myself, what is this guy here for? So I start making a beeline for his car. He takes off. Well, he finally gets a hold of her later on and tells her, hey, just so you know, I had no idea you lived there. He did ceilings. He was doing a drop ceiling in the street over. But he got confused where to go, so he went around the block. And we're there. Like, what are the odds, right? And then the other crazy part of that is when I built my first Michael store, because he was doing ceilings, I was in there. I was recruiting outside because I couldn't be inside. And I would walk by these two guys on these scissor lifts, and I heard all these derogatory remarks. I thought they were just talking to each other the whole time. I know he was talking to me. But he recognized her car out there because he's the one that put a dent in the back of her car. He punched it. So when it pulled up, he's like, oh, I know who this guy is. But he would never come say anything to me. So the next day, the owner comes down to me, and he's like, hey, I just want to let you know, I just got rid of this guy. I'm like, for what? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, great, now my ceiling's not going to get done. The fire department can't do their thing. Like, I'm thinking that way.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, apparently he used to date your girlfriend. I'm like, who is he? So he says his name, and I'm like, oh, boy.
I had this guy, he used to show up everywhere
Really?
and like just want to fight me.
Oh,
I mean, we'd be in traffic and like get out, he'd see me and he'd get out of his car. And like I'd tell him, and there's a couple times I had to handle things.
wow.
Tony worked at a bunch of bars in downtown, and I'd just be like, this guy, he can't be here.
He was a douche. He was so bad to her. She's so glad. I'm glad she ended up with him.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
thankfully, I had, friends like Tony, so that person just would not be allowed in the bar anymore. I could just,
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a few times where we had to kind of throw down a little bit, and
It's what we do for the ladies, man. You know,
I'm fine.
I worked in the bars, and Brett kept the bars going. Kept the bars in business.
What bars did you do bouncing at?
Oh, Jesus. From TJ Horror Hands.
We'll just call it downtown Springfield.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, stop
Hippodrome, yeah.
Yeah.
Brett's got a so no matter what, whether he fell asleep when he was in your car on the way home, standing at the bar, whatever, this is his stance.
I've never spilled a drink.
And he never spills a drink
boy.
like this. In the car, he'll be in a bar. It's so busy. He's like, you're just like this. And he's like, all right, we're going to walk through. Or somebody goes, somehow it just instantly goes here, and it doesn't spill.
That's a safe place.
They can shove him, this guy, and that guy will bump into each other and spill drinks. And he'll be like, I didn't spill any. He'll take a sip. I'm like, how? We were talking about that the other day at work, JoJo.
Yeah, so JoJo, who we may or may not, I might not extend the invite to him to come on. But
we got to tame him down a little bit.
he ran a bar. He ran several bars.
Still runs bars.
But he ran when he was running the Poorhouse in Springfield. I used to go there, and I used to just get dropped off because JoJo at that time lived in Chicopee. So he would just be like, I'll bring you home when we shut down. So I would just stay the night until he was ready to go home. And so we'd walk out the bar, and I'd have a pint glass in my hand. We walked to, and he had a big Jeep, shitty suspension and all that. And
told me he drove over snowbanks on purpose to try to get you to spill it.
And so I'd get into his Jeep in the passenger seat, and like this, and very shortly after. So I'm a standing drinker. Like once I've had a certain amount, if I'm not standing, I'm sleeping. So that's why, like most of the time, if you see me at a bar, even if it's like a sit down type, I'm the guy standing, and you can offer me a seat, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna stand because I fall asleep really easy. I don't even have to be drinking; I just fall asleep if I'm not engaged in something. So he would get in his Jeep, and I'd be drinking my beer, and as I start dozing off, this is where my beer goes right here. And he would fuck with me.
Really?
I
jam the brakes.
Every once in a while, I'd wake up because my head would like whack against the window because he'd like take, and I never spilt. And I'd get up, and as I'm getting out, I'm thanking him for the new pint glass from my bar collection because it came from his bar. Yeah, but no, I don't spill.
Wow, those are great stories. All right, so we are at 2 hours. That's a good time. So now we're gonna have to. Brett was very, very gracious enough to...
Not Brett. IQ Inc.
IQ Inc. Yes. We'll get to that as our sponsor. So this is the first time, drum roll please, we got new T-shirts. Look at that. How insane is that?
That is
It actually
awesome.
came out really cool. I was really happy with how it came out.
So thank you very much for doing that. That was very, very sweet of you to do that, and I very much appreciate that very much. And this is something we're definitely going to make another order for, and this is so everybody that comes on the podcast eventually will have a T-shirt. So hopefully I have your size today.
I think I made one of each size, and I have some others I'm going to wrap up. Just so you had a good starting ground, and then, as you go through them, we'll keep going.
Yeah, I mean, this is just insane. I mean, this is exactly what it looks like. So thank you very much. This has put a huge smile on my face. I can't wait to show the wife. She's been a huge supporter of this podcast, and you know what I had to do to get this started, and so this has been great. And people like you who help invest, that's support.
I know you guys go back further than I do, but that's family right there.
Yeah.
He's like, you want to do it? I'm like, what I got to do? He goes, you just got to come in and talk. He goes, watch this. I'm like, all right, I'm in. Like, that's why I said, what do you need? You need me to bring anything? You need me to do anything? What do you need? I'm in. Like, that's, and when you do air, just tag me or let me know. I'll share it all over my Facebook. And we know a ton of people that are crazy like JoJo, that are a little cool like us, like other business owners. And if you want to have somebody on, Brett, like Brett's like, listen, why don't you come do this? Like, we'll get this. I mean, I'm sure you got a ton of people you got going, but when you get on the back burner and you need somebody, call us. Everybody's, especially owning a business. I appreciate you having me on. Like, this is huge to have a little oomph. Like, hey, guess what? This is what you do. And then we get to bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, this is cool.
This is the best part. I mean, the whole thing is really just getting on and start talking. People think we have to have these profound discussions, and it can turn into that. But, it's, and everybody's been put a little bit of spice in. Brett, we go way back. And we were talking, me and my buddy Matt, who was on before as my co-host, we were kind of writing down people's names, and Brett came up, and we're at the same time, we're like, yes, we got to get him in, because, we spent a lot of time together when we were kids. And
yeah, Jeff didn't realize that, like, his official co-host, Matt, Griffin.
That's the podcast you sent me.
Yeah. So
I was like,
I've
man,
known
these
that
guys
guy
just
since-
all click. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, that's cool.
I've known
So
Matt since
smooth.
second grade, so it's like, and Jeff and I have known, roughly each other since middle school, and then in high school, I think we really started getting to know each other. But yeah, it's been a good thing, and that's why when it came up, like, I was first person, I'm like, Jeff's a fucking cool guy. I'm gonna come on and support him, and now I fucking love it. So
yeah, I mean, like I said before, you're not from Chicopee if you didn't know Brett Dumas. I mean,
Yes.
you know what I mean? I'm telling you. And then, with Griff and all those guys, we had the crew. We did a lot of things together. So, again, thanks for coming on and supporting us. Thanks for the T-shirts. I can't thank you enough for that.
Yeah,
That is, I'm literally speechless about it. It's awesome. So, and thank you, Tony, for coming down and supporting us again. So, Tony, go ahead and plug your business one more time.
TS Mobile Accessories. We do have a website. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram. Facebook is probably the easiest way to find us. We're in Springfield, right Allen Street, 267 Allen Street, right around the corner from like Frankie and Johnny's, Nathan Bill's. Like, we're right around that corner. Probably 10 minutes from here, give or take. Well, not from here. I'm sorry. We're in Palmer. From your house. I'm looking at him. That's right.
Yeah.
His IQ Inks in Chicopee, and we're probably 10 minutes from there. Yeah. Basically, vehicle accessory needs, wraps, remote car starters.
if it goes on or in a car, Tony can do it. And if he doesn't do it already, he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And even if you have a factory remote start, depending on how far away you are, I can make that factory remote start from your phone. So, and we do everything.
Technology.
Yeah.
It's
Love it.
insane.
Yep.
Yep. And so thank you, Vanessa, for coming and joining us today.
Vanessa White, Vanna White.
Yeah.
Soon to be Vanessa Shukes.
Future Vanessa.
Yes.
Shukes.
Future Mrs. Shukes.
I have to come and support Tony
That's
for
right.
sure.
She had
All right.
to make my drinks.
That's right. Someone's got to do it. So
Yep.
Brett, let it rip.
All right, yeah, I'll give a shout out to IQ Inc., IQ-Inc.com, screen printing and embroidery. If you got it, if you need something on some apparel or shirts, or shirts are apparel, but hats, you name it, if it can be printed on, we'll do it. And also my son's business, Blue Bee Apparel, bluebeeapparel.com, constantly releasing new drops of apparel, different lines. And he donates 10% of his proceeds to the Honey Bee Conservancy. That's all I got.
Again, I say each time, though, we got to have an episode about the bees. I'm a big bee fanatic. So we'll have that soon. So, all right, guys, thank you very much. Episode 16 in the can. If you can, the biggest compliment you can give us is share, then like and subscribe. So until next Monday, peace. The biggest compliment you can give us is share, then like and subscribe.